in the open. Wild horses couldn't drag me away from the broadcast today. I like to swim in cold water. We were out hiking Sunday, myself and some friends and one of my daughters. And there's been a lot of rains lately, and Barton Creek was really flowing pretty fast and full. And I got in the water and swam around for a while, and then boom, started having a big earache, sore throat yesterday. And it's just one of my little susceptible things that obviously you shouldn't be swimming in the creek, even if it looks totally clean in the middle of a city, because there's a lot of runoff and a lot of bacteria. But I have guzzled, starting last night, the colloidal silver. I think I'm already turning the corner, but the reason I raised that is if I sound a little bit deeper voice today or talk a little bit slower or have to go to videos here and there, it's because everybody's experienced, I think, a eustachian tube being closed and an earache and a sore throat. There's a little bacteria munch on your throat. Again, I'm just throwing that out there because I almost stayed home, but there's too much news. Plus, I'm going to come back tonight with a lot of the crew, and we're going to do an hour of coverage before the Trump address to joint Congress. And then we're also going to have about an hour of analysis and phone calls from you after that. There'll be a big page posted to the front page of Infowars.com with our feed, a YouTube feed, a Facebook feed, and then audio feeds as well. And, of course, our affiliates are welcome to pick up the feed, and it will be family-friendly. I've gotten so wild fighting the globalists and so teleprompter-free that occasionally we always delay it out. I've said some things I shouldn't have, and I'm really making a conscious effort not to do that anymore, and I apologize, everybody. It's just that things have gotten so wild, it's really hard to hold back sometimes. I think a lot of you can also probably register with that. There was a story in Spin magazine that basically said Alex Jones is a bootlicking, scumbag who worships the government now because he supports Trump so much. No, I'm not part of the establishment because we have a president in office being attacked from all sides, big corporations, foreign countries, you name it. He is anti-establishment. That's why the entire establishment, Hollywood, MSM, everything is against him. The big banks, you name it. Yeah, there was the headline. They found it quickly. Good job, crew. They find stuff so fast, faster than I could. Yeah, Donald Trump has turned conspiracy king Alex Jones into a government bootlicker. No, I want a constitutional republic back so I don't have to be enemies with the government. That's what I'm talking about, and prosperity. But that's the type of disinformation and garbage that they spew. When we come back, we're going to cover it all and a whole bunch of clips, and we've got a bunch of guests on today as well. I'll be telling you about on the other side of this break. And again, we have Trump addressing Congress tonight at 8 o'clock Central. We're going to kick off coverage at 7 o'clock Central. Infowars.com/show. Well, President 45 is set to make his biggest speech yet in joint address to Congress. We'll have live coverage at Infowars.com/show. And we'll have the different video players there. You can email to your friends and neighbors and family and help spread the transmission viral as we have an hour of news and live analysis before the kickoff at 8 o'clock Central. And then we'll have at least an hour of live coverage in your phone calls after the historic speech as well. Wow, there is obviously just a cornucopia of vitally important news to get to and to cover here today. Trump to tell poorest communities help is on the way. Hasbro to make Play-Doh American again. They've announced that via the push of Trump, they're moving back to having the Play-Doh produced here in the United States. Consumer confidence soars to 15-year high, according to Business Insider, and the federal numbers that were just released from the Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index. In fact, small business startups and other numbers are the highest since the Reagan recovery of 1984. Meanwhile, every major globalist institution is pushing with everything they've got to plunge the stock market and to kill this recovery. And you see all these poor people that are buying into mainstream media and buying into Stephen Colbert and all the rest of the disinformation agents out there really think it's trendy and cool to attack Trump and hope he fails. And that's why they're poor. That's why they're disenfranchised. That's why they're stupid. They're getting their news from big corporate comedians who have a whole team of writers filling teleprompters with disinformation and holding up signs to tell the audience to clap when they say, "How dare Trump criticize the media?" Ooh. I mean, you talk about stage, you talk about fake, you talk about disingenuous. It's a joke. As Trump, according to every basic benchmark of economics, tries to create a level playing field for the average person and tries to flood small businesses with very, very low interest rate loans and just so much more, trying to cut the price of energy. Everything Trump's doing is tangible and real. So, of course, I have a clip coming up later. In fact, we should just play it now, where Nancy Pelosi says he has no jobs bill in another doddering press conference like the one she had 2 weeks ago when she keeps talking about George W. Bush and how he's a horrible president and how, you know, he's trying to deport all the illegals. No, that was 8 years ago, sweetheart. And then Waters again comes up and says Putin has invaded Korea. Well, she's back. So let's just go to that clip first because it illustrates what we're dealing with. Let's go to Nancy Pelosi. Says Trump has no jobs bill. Here it is.
Are there any issues where you feel you can still work with the president? Back in November, you talked about infrastructure. Talked about perhaps a $1 trillion infrastructure plan. We don't know if he's going to propose one on Tuesday. Is that something Democrats can get behind?
Well, let's just talk about that for a moment, because I call him the deflector in chief. He has no jobs bill. I talked about President Obama in the first 4 weeks, 4 million jobs. He has no jobs bill. So he's got to talk about the press. He has no jobs bill, so he has to talk about kids, transgender kids in school. He has no jobs bill, so he has to talk about immigrants and have a ban on Muslims coming to the country. So all of this is a deflection from the fact he has done nothing. So we haven't seen a job.
What you're seeing is total projection. Obama didn't create 4 million jobs in his first few months in office. Trump is going forward with a giant infrastructure piece of legislation. He's already signed an executive order to kill the forced provision of Obamacare and the $5,000 fines. He's already said we're going to turn our coal power plants back on. That creates massive amounts of jobs and cuts prices in electricity and makes us more competitive. He's already gotten Ford and Chrysler and Toyota and everybody else to announce that they're going to move factories to the United States that were overseas. He's already gotten Carrier and Play-Doh that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. I mean, there are so many companies and so many jobs coming back. It's being announced every day. Japan announced $100 billion of investment for this year inside the United States in high-tech development jobs. And the list goes on and on and on. We've seen a $2.2 billion increase in the biggest run of the stock market, again, since 1984. Here's the clip.
Dow is gaining 15 points. As I said, this is now the 12th record in a row. The last time we saw that, 30 years ago, January 20th of 1987. That is also a record for the S&P 500. The Trump boost continues. And, of course, the Atlanta Fed predicted that the GDP for Q1 will come in at 2.5%. So, David and Melissa, some decent news here.
Decent news. We got a new record. Thank you.
All right, a dozen days of records. The Dow ending the day at a brand new high for the 12th day in a row, the most consecutive records in 30 years. Just one more and we make history. New record close for the S&P 500 as well. All of the major averages ending higher.
Okay. Now, here's the key to all of this, and I'm about to cover right now and why they're so desperate. Crony capitalists admit they want a managed, controlled economy where they pick the winners and losers. Everybody knows that. Ron Paul talked about it 30 years ago. I'd talk about it 20 years ago. The general public didn't even understand those type of terms. Now it's ubiquitous. Pretty much everybody understands that the big global corporate combines are tax exempt. They control the governments. They pick winners and losers. But from Iceland to Spain, from Greece to Italy, from Brazil to the United States to Australia, and many other places. I mentioned Iceland. It's one of the first to do it. They're saying, why are there one-sided deals to transfer our jobs and sell off our steel mills and sell off our industry? And we're supposed to have service jobs, and then even that gets sold off. We don't want this. And so there's an article in the AFP today, French election turns ugly as political attacks mount. And they admit that there is a civil war against globalism happening. There's another article today about two visions for America in tonight's Trump speech to Congress. Americanism versus globalism. So they don't even deny now this is what's happening. But you go out to the local leftist rallies, and they're screaming and yelling that Trump hates gay people. They're screaming and yelling, you know, that he wants to basically kill Mexicans or something. They're screaming and yelling all these things that aren't true, that are total distractions. And it's the big corporate media from Colbert and the fake, newscast that he does, admittedly fake newscast, where he calls us fake, to CNN, MSNBC, to the New York Times. They're all working against the American people, but still the American people are aware of it, so it's blowing up in their face. So here's the key. Consumer confidence soars to 15-year high. We've got the best small business numbers since 1984. Same thing with the stock market. Now look at this. GDP for Q4 holds at 1.9 despite consumer spending jump because the deindustrialization was so bad, we were supposed to be going into a depression this year. That's why this is neck and neck, folks. You better hope Trump succeeds because he'll be fine. The rest of us are not going to do so well if this thing goes belly up. And I've got numbers on that with top economists saying if this goes belly up and if Trump fails, like Ron Paul said here a month ago, it is going to be a gigantic depression in many areas. Here's the key. This is the key from Bloomberg News. Telling the truth. Bloomberg itself and Michael Bloomberg's bad-mouthing Trump, saying things are going to collapse, saying it out of the stock market. J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they're all betting against Trump and betting against America because they just want to have a controlled system. But they have to admit that this isn't a rally on the stock market caused by the big banks, even though they're getting the lion's share of the money in some cases. No. Despite them trying to block Trump, Goldman Sachs has made, 36%? It was 33% more just since he got in office 40-something days ago. They've made hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're trying to block it because, see, they don't want you to have anything. So much wealth's getting produced, and she says he has no jobs, Bill. What do you think $1 trillion, that's the bill, in the next decade of infrastructure spending does? That's jobs. What do you think a $50+ billion increase in defense spending, which isn't really that big, quite frankly, compared to what some increases have been, but it's in targeted areas. That's a jobs bill. What do you think any of this is? Jobs, jobs, jobs. As he said, help is on the way, but she responds hoping that people watching ABC News are idiots when it comes to basic economics. Now, here's the key. Bloomberg has to admit this. Mom and pop investors are behind this historic market rally. It's the small stocks, the medium stocks are driving the big stocks, and it's the overall spending and outlaying and people purchasing cars and boats and houses, but also hiring more people, believing in America, and putting everything down on the line, like I'm doing. Despite the fact we're under censorship attack, Google banning us via ad roll from advertising on the internet, basically, all sorts of other behind-the-scenes attacks that I won't go into. I've decided to not just hire 15, 20 more people this year. I'm going to try to hire like 30 or 40 to be, I joked and said 100 the other day. We can't do that. We're only like 65 people at Infowars. But I want to go next level. I really want to put everything in now because history's happening. It's an amazing time. But this is your rally. This is mom and pops who are black, who are white, who are Hispanic, who are just human beings, who are working together and believing. And the globalists cannot stand it. They want to replace everybody with robots. They want to bring in minimum wages so high that you can't compete in America and you got to go to China or Mexico. That's why the big globalists are always pushing a minimum wage hike of $15, $18, because here it is. Wendy's replacing 1,000 of its employees with robots as we speak because the minimum wage is already going up in many areas. Some states passing laws. So, again, this all sounds good to you understand economics. It's like taxes they have of making, a six-pack of Coca-Cola $10 and then sales plunge by almost half because people aren't going to pay for that. This is how economics works. We'll be back with huge news. Coming up in the next segment, we're going to break down incredible instances of censorship taking place. We almost had our YouTube channel that's got 200 million views, just one of our YouTube channels, down. And I knew when I saw the video this weekend that we'd be facing this. It's several large women at the LGBTQ rally coming up to Millie Weaver, who's being totally nice to them, and saying, we're going to basically beat you up if you don't delete footage of us. But they're at a public event. There's no perception of privacy when you're at a rally by the Capitol. And they were so threatening, she deleted that, but actually shot footage of them coming over and getting in her face. And it's the entitlement. Sure enough, they filed complaints with YouTube and tried to, or someone acting for them did, and then YouTube said, no, this doesn't violate our policies, we're not going to do it. But I'm going to show you this. Just the entitlement is like unbelievable. It's like the new royalty or something. And again, I don't care if these women like women or whatever. I'm not getting into that. It's that we're going out to show what spoiled, rotten babies these people are, and they never cease to deliver and amaze. And some of the folks, I mean, it's quite frankly like out of a horror movie. And I don't mean that mean, but, 6'4" guys with Day of the Dead white paint on their face with big red wigs, man, that's scary. Devil's Reject stuff. And they're trying to be shocking. It's like a bunch of people that were, failed arts, theater class people or something. They want to just be in theater and act funny and act weird. That's fine. But don't try to teach our 5-year-olds, how to behave. And don't try to come in showers with girls. That's all Trump or I or anybody's saying. This is a very nice report we put out. And, of course, the entitlement is we want to take you down. We're so entitled. We're going to go to a public event. We're going to threaten people. And then we're going to say, you can't show that. Wow. So and it ties into PewDiePie, who has, I was saying 46 million subscribers. I'm sorry. It's 50+ million subscribers. Billions and billions of views a year. The biggest thing on YouTube, the guy was raking in, I think it was $10 million in 2013. Who knows what it is now? Okay? I mean, this guy's got more viewers every day than CNN and MSNBC combined, conservatively. 53 million subscribers. He plays some of our clips on there. He's welcome to. We want the publicity. We want to reach out to young people. One of my daughters at school, he's the big rock star. They all watch him. They're not supposed to. There's a little bit of raciness there. But the point is, they were trying to ban him as a racist. And Paul Watson did a report. But that just shows where all this is going. By all yardsticks, I'd call the guy kind of a libertarian liberal. He's not a conservative, but they want him banned because he made Hitler jokes. Well, so did Charlie Chaplin. I did a Hitler dog video with my dog Captain because he has a Hitler mustache. He doesn't have any hair right on his lip. It's black. He has a white fur. And they tried to take that video down a few years ago saying it's Nazi. Let the Nazis have their stuff as long as they're not calling for violence. If you don't do that, you'll lose all free speech. In fact, we're just going to start covering this now, and I'm going to come back and get into all that. Then I'm going to get into Russia and the rest of it. Devin Nunes, the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, has come out and told reporters yesterday that there's no ties to Russia that have been found. They look, they're not even phone calls until he's president-elect. And then he started making calls they announced. The Russians recorded the calls and put out transcripts. That's what a president does with his transition team. But they made this huge, much ado about nothing. We're going to cover that as well coming up. And it's just like Trump told us months ago and told us last week at a press conference. This whole Russia thing is a ruse. And now Rand Paul, to his credit, I'm glad to see these guys are working together again. That's really good. I like Rand Paul a lot. Investigating Trump's Russia ties driven by hysteria. House Intelligence Chair denies evidence of Trump team's ties to Russia. Why'd Flynn resign? Because he can make 10 times the money easily, working places like Jones Group. I know for a fact he turned down a super lucrative job at the Jones Group in international security and consulting that was 10 times what he'd be paid as national security advisor. He's just like, you know what? Just call me a Russian agent, former head of defense intelligence. I'm done, okay? I'm done. Just enjoy yourselves, America. Thanks a lot for, going out and stopping Al-Qaeda and ISIS, Jeez. So there you go. So good for General Flynn, you know what I mean? It's almost like the American people don't deserve patriots like that actually work their butts off and care about the country. But C'est la vie. There's another big report here where deep state war, Russia officials keep dying unexpectedly. These are all allies of Putin, and it's definitely a Western war trying to push Putin into some type of provocative action, and it's big. We're going to look at that. Maybe Daria, who speaks Russian, can read these words well. These names can go over this with me, so I don't. Vitaly Churkin, Peter Polishkov. Am I getting these right? We'll talk about that coming up, too. I'm Alex Jones. This is the Infowar. And I'm going to tell you about the guests we've got as well today. A bunch of guests. Stay with us. We've got our 1776 worldwide background, the globe and the American flag orbiting each other. If you're a TV viewer, Infowars.com/show. Tonight, 7 o'clock Central, we'll have a live Infowars Nightly News. We'll cover Trump's historic first speech to Congress. And then we will go right into analysis after that and open up the phone systems and take some of your phone calls. We'll also take some phone calls today. Let me tell you about some of the guests that are coming up. We're going to have Millie Weaver in studio with us, with Gavin, who is the camera guy out there with her, when this weekend they simply went to the LGBTQ Queer Fest, as it's called. We couldn't even call it that on YouTube because they'd ban us for sure. See, because only the city of Austin and these groups can call themselves the Queer Fest, then we're not supposed to call them by their actual name or we're hateful. See how these special games work? Because they're the bosses. They're in control. They're a bunch of spoiled brats, whether they were heterosexual or whatever they were, just acting like a bunch of control freaks. And then complaining to YouTube, trying to take down the video, saying we were at their event in their privacy when they were in public in front of the Capitol, across the street from the Capitol and the governor's mansion. So Millie Weaver is going to be in studio to talk about that. Dr. Jerome Corsi has huge breaking news dealing with his Part 2 report that's on Infowars.com, how Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were looted for hundreds of billions of dollars illegally. This has come out in federal court by Obama to prop up Obamacare. This is huge. And this comes, again, from our sources directly inside the White House that directed us at the public court cases and information. And then Gerald Celente will be joining me in the fourth hour, or in the third hour, and then Owen Schroyer is in the fourth hour today. Before I go any further, there was another controversy that ended up being in the Washington Post. And I'm not joking. It had to be over 100 other publications because I get Google alerts on my phone, and I can just see them, and it'll say the number, and it was over 100. This is how things work, because when we make a retraction, we make a retraction. We're proud to make a retraction because we're always, making mistakes like anybody does by accident, though, not on purpose, like the mainstream media lying to you and saying Obamacare is free. So, of course, he sends me his Obamacare story, part 1 yesterday, about Obama looting the federal housing money and the private investors that are inside there. And then those low-cost home programs to prop up Obamacare. So I go in there and I say, the headline is exclusive, and then his article. Then I say, and here's talking points that were sent out to conservative libertarians. I'm told by Corsi this is not broken yet. This just got sent out. And so, put this out and say breaking. And then it did say breaking in the headline. But lower down it said this exclusive list. And then I said at the bottom, this is not a leak, so folks didn't think I was leaking something. That turns into Jones has been deceptive. He said he got something exclusively from the White House, and he didn't. The point is we're the first to put out the talking point list of the speech tonight, yesterday, and the Washington Post freaked out and ran with it, pretty much creating the illusion that that was actually true. They're the ones that kind of did it, saying, we didn't believe the White House exclusively gave Jones and Infowars these talking points, but sure enough, Spicer gave a press conference, and that's exactly what they said and did. So they freaked out and said, okay, it's true. And then that's when everyone went nuts and said, Alex has made this up. No, we didn't make it up. There was just one little part on a note at the end that wasn't exactly right. It doesn't matter. I'm not fawning around in Washington like I'm in junior high or high school trying to be cool and trying to go to the stupid correspondence dinner. I'm not trying to be in Hollywood. I mean, I've been in some big Hollywood films. I've hosted Discovery Channel and History Channel shows. I've been offered national TV shows. I don't want you. I don't need you. I've been offered Fox News shows on record. So just get this straight, media. I'm not running around fawning at the White House, and you guys just constantly try to act like you know, we're deceiving people as you pick through everything. You're a joke. But here it is. For a preview of Trump's address to Congress, read Infowars. Really? And it goes on to say Infowars, a website that travels conspiracy theories, questioning known liars like Jeff Bezos, who got $600 million last year to fence it through, reportedly into the Washington Post and other media companies, to put out CIA propaganda and to co-locate thousands of giant servers at his home base. I mean, you can't make that up. Infowars, a website that traffics in conspiracy theories, claimed Monday, let's click through on our article, to have gotten its hands on an online outline of President Trump's upcoming address to Congress. You're forgiven for being skeptical. After all, this is the site that reported the news that Hillary Clinton is a child murderer. Fact, she is not. It appears, however, that someone in the White House really did provide a preview of Trump's speech. Infowars. After the website posted a list of the president's talking points, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer read many of the same points, almost verbatim, in some cases during his daily media briefing. Let's stop right there. Then it turns into The Hill and everybody else. Infowars claims exclusive preview of mass emailed Trump address. It wasn't mass emailed. It was sent, I was told, like by 20 people, and we were getting it first because the guy that was sending it out was giving it to us first. Fine, I'll just go all the way and tell you the whole thing if you like. We were given the first on it. That's what, that's how, I'm not going to tell you who did that either. The media would really freak out. But, I mean, it just never ends. It just never ends. People are nice. People are friends with Corsi. They say, hey, this is going out in an hour. You want it first? We're going to send it to the conservative outlets, libertarian outlets. Yeah, please. Corsi says, hey, this is going to go out to like 20 people in an hour. You got it first. They want to, you know, give it to you. Boom. And I'm not going to say the rest of what he said. But the point is that they turn it into this whole controversy. It's like Conway was excited and was wearing little slippers and put her feet up on the couch, taking photos of the, you know, congressional caucus that was visiting, being a charming lady. And they said, oh, my God, you've got your feet up on the couch. If you go to Infowars.com, there's an article about this, Much Ado About Nothing, where we show Obama with his feet on the couch and other people with their feet on the couch and on the desk and on chairs. Big deal. And that's because these are not uptight, stuck-up weirdos like the globalists we've seen. Conway just jumps up there so she can get a better photo. And everybody acts like it's so weird. But if you go to Infowars.com, in Paul's article about it, Steve has an article, you can see all the photos of people doing the exact same thing and more. Not just Obama kicking his feet up, but other stuff. People put them on tables, chairs, you name it. That's what you do. But this just shows this entirely different standard. Just like you're going to see them attack this address tonight and heckle it. But don't you dare heckle Obama, and don't you dare not, you know, only globe like it's the best thing in the world when Obama or Bill Clinton did something. It's disgusting. So again, I don't want to talk about ourselves here, but that's the type of stuff we deal with. Hey, can we pull up our original article? Here it is. Breaking bullet points of Trump's congressional address given to Infowars. Breaking, not exclusive. But that's, again, how they turn everything into some type of controversy, because that's all they can do. Because they're the discredited people that said Trump could never win. Now, before I go any further, I want to really thank the viewers and listeners and supporters, whether you've prayed for us, whether you've spread the articles and videos, whether you've bought great products from us that help us fund this operation. You are the reason Infowars is here. You are the Infowar. So know that. And we lost at least $3.3 million last week. That's how much we had extra from ad roll, Google ads we placed, spent a lot of money on. But that was in the black column to then overall fund this operation. Not as profit for the overall operation, but an advertising system we run to then fund the radio show, the TV show, the investigative journalists, the camera people, everything we do here. You know, the game-changing tip of the spear assault on the globalists that's bringing back the biggest dividends anybody's ever seen from a propaganda outfit. By the way, propaganda just means a political point of view, something that promotes it. It has negative connotations. There's white propaganda, gray propaganda, and black propaganda. We put out white propaganda. And we are funded by folks that support us. So thank you so much. We didn't make back all of the shortfall, but we've made back a little less than half of it in this big drive of the last week and change. So we've been doing this for 8-9 days, and now if you count what we normally would have already brought in, it's more like 600, 700,000 to try to, projecting into 2018, because that was money we made in 2016 to fund ourselves this year. Projecting out, we're going to find some other revenue sources without turning this broadcast into a giant infomercial to be able to build this media operation and then, again, not just advertise to our own audience, but reach out and advertise so that we don't pollute the show. That's what we're doing. Most people advertise and then they just keep the money. No, we advertise outside of this operation, take it in, and then use it to fund our operation. I remember when I was trying to help Rush Limbaugh, and he's being boycotted 6 years ago, and I spent $250,000 on there in a month advertising some of our films. They almost didn't let us do it. They said, oh, you want to be on his show? You want to? I said, fine, don't take the money if you don't want to. They said, okay, you can advertise. I mean, I was literally trying to help somebody. I have that instinct. I mean, I hope if we're under attack, you're going to support us. I'm talking about other talk show hosts, not just our listeners. I mean, we're going to hang together or hang separate for the First Amendment. It's very, very, very simple. But let me get back to this. So I'm looking for the news and the clips I've got. There's huge censorship taking place everywhere that I'm about to document further. It's not just us, because if they can intimidate everybody and intimidate the biggest names like PewDiePie and Alex Jones and Matt Drudge and Donald Trump, if they can get us to kind of roll over and shut up and self-censor, they win. This whole movement is about not being self-censored. So we're going to end the special tomorrow morning, where you can get 33% off Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver, 25% off Super Male Vitality, 25% off Brain Force, Survival Shield X2, 25% off, Caveman, Ultimate Paleo, Turmeric and Bone Broth and more, 33% off out of the gates. The Donald J. Trump and Ronald Reagan one-of-a-kind lithographs. This the Trump print is in chocolate ink. The last one was in black ink. The Reagan we've never done before. This is a limited edition. There's only 500 of those. They are selling out. They're $19.95 at an art house. This is the official guy for the Republican Party that does these. An amazing artist. These should be $50 for the print, $100, $200, $300 framed. And when these are done, no more of these prints, even in different variants or different colors. It is a collector's item. Comes in a nice tube. It's numbered, and your purchase supports the broadcast. So InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. And finally, I've come up with the new idea for a T-shirt with the crew that I believe will be the next viral T-shirt, like the T-shirt that sold 100,000 or so. That sounds like a lot. Most of them we sold for $9.95 or $5. And $5 is that cost. In fact, there's more that goes into it. The shirt itself costs like $5. All the infrastructure and things, probably $6, $7. But the point is, I just wanted to see the shirts everywhere. You responded. You bought 4, 5, 6, of them each. Of the Hillary for President 2016. It took over the narrative last year. It's huge. We now have the Trump-Pence 2020 Keeping America Great election shirt with Infowars.com on the right shoulder. It's a navy blue, handsome shirt. Looks great on men and women. And on the back, it says, America First since 1776, Infowars.com. You want to meet like-minded people? You want to spread the word? You want to exercise the First Amendment in these bullies' faces? You want to help us fund this operation that has millions and millions of dollars in bandwidth cost every quarter alone? I mean, you want somebody to fight, folks? We're doing it. We're fighting hard, so we appreciate your support. We don't have the big corporate sponsors, and I'm not putting him down, it's just true, of a PewDiePie, who they're now taking away. PewDiePie is #1 on YouTube, billions a year of viewers, but see, the globalists want to teach him, you're not part of our structure, you're not going to have any sponsors, and we're going to kick you off YouTube next time. Because you made fun of Hitler, like Charlie Chaplin or John Cleese. There's a report, Paul Watson breaks this down. It's on Infowars.com. PewDiePie, ban all things. Well, when they have white chalkboards, white mark boards marker boards in colleges all over the country, as reported last week, being removed because somebody might write something hurtful. That's saying ban books or ban paper because somebody might write something. Ban language. Well, look at globalism. Look at the language shrinking. Look at what's happening. It's unfolding. So Paul dares, he may lose his YouTube channel here. We've already had complaints filed. That was what they're trying to do right now, to take iconography and show PewDiePie in a Nazi uniform as part of the joke, or to show another Hitler dog. I mean, I did Hitler dog 4 years ago. But again, Charlie Chaplin, he's allowed to, but nobody else is. Disney could have cartoons in World War II lampooning Hitler. If this Nazi land's so good, we wouldn't change it if we could. Oh, we love it. New World Order. You guys Google or YouTube Disney anti-Nazi cartoons. I mean, it's Donald Duck fighting Hitler, but those would be banned today because Donald Duck's running around hollering Hitler as a joke as part of his disguise. But PewDiePie was even clearer he wasn't with Hitler. It's about the mob of intimidators being able to go around and shut down whoever they want because they're jealous that he gets billions of viewers a year. They're jealous that we have over 1 billion viewers a year, clearly, if you count all the other channels and people that we let run our videos. Hundreds of millions a month. Now, here it is. Let's play this with some audio. Let's back this up. This is Disney, 1943. Oh, there's no audio on this? Well, maybe later we can play it. But the point is that I even own the DVD, actually. It's back there in Rob Dew's shelf of all the World War II era propaganda cartoons, I believe is the name of the DVD set. But continuing here, ladies and gentlemen, you are the folks that are funding us, and you're the ones that are spreading the word as they start delisting us on Google and driving us down in the ratings, even though we're #1. When you search Infowars, as they start to try to block us on Facebook and Twitter, as they start to disappear our post, as they start to try to remove us off YouTube, as they announce they're doing this, as they ban us from advertising on Google platforms. It's getting bad. They're doing it to Breitbart. They're doing it to everybody. And as Drudge says, we have to create our own platforms, our own advertising systems, and we're going to do it. But let's go ahead and go to PewDiePie, because this ties into the next guest in the next hour, Millie Weaver, because we're going to play the video that's bleeped quite a bit as these bullying women, but it's like a trans event, so they maybe want to be men. I mean, it's all just look at me stuff. It's like, I don't care what you're doing. But it's the arrogance of that I've noticed with particularly butch women. I've told the story about Shane Steiner's wife, who's like a supermodel, and we're playing pool one day while the kids are bowling right there at a place called Main Event. It's just like the pool tables are right here, the bowling's right here. And young, lesbian women, but butch, with like James Dean duck's ass hairstyles and white T-shirts with cigarette packs under them. I'm not kidding. Like they're about to drop chains or switchblades are about to come out. Came right up and we're like trying to hit on her and we're hitting on other women, and she was just laughing at them. And like, I'm not a little guy, but Shane looks like Conan the Barbarian. I mean, literally, I've seen him bench press 400 pounds 30 times. He says he can do it 40. The point is they literally muscled up. And again, it's this thing, I'm entitled, I'm going to muscle up on your hot blonde wife. I mean, this is cuckoo land, folks. And boy, you get a good-looking woman at one of these events, these women come flooding in like you know what. And if a man threatened a woman like that and said, you better erase that or we're going to hurt you, it'd be the end of the world. But see, because it's women doing it to another woman, and by the way, statistically, lesbians, and I'm not bashing lesbians, okay? I mean, I don't want to, it's a family show, but I mean, I get it. I like women. It's kind of like, I like ribeye steaks. You like women, whatever. They have the highest rates, though, of beating each other up and domestic violence. It's a fact. There's something going on here in this culture. It's very unhealthy. Camille Paglia is a lesbian. She's written books about that. There's stuff going on here, and it's anti-male, it's anti-woman, it's anti-human culture. You can have your culture. Just stop trying to have a revolution to take ours over here in the tolerant, open West, because we've allowed you to do whatever you want. from pouring bleach in your eyes because you identify as a blind person, having the government pay for it, to millions of sex changes being paid for by taxpayers every year. And now you want to go in the 8th grade girls' locker room when you're a senior and go in the showers with them with your anaconda hanging out. It's just not right. And it's a form of assault and a form of dominance and taking our open society and our kindness for weakness, and it's got to stop. So again, complaints get filed saying you aren't allowed to tape us. You've exposed our personal information. When you're the ones at a public event getting in somebody's face, surrounding a little woman, Millie's little, big women, surrounding them like it's the space bar, you know, in Star Wars. You better watch yourself. I have the death sentence on 12 systems. My friend doesn't like you. I don't like you either. I mean, they're literally like thugs. Like a few times when I was younger, be out at bars, some rowdy bars where they had some good rockabilly music, and there might be, you know, some banditos or something, which is a serious outlaw motorcycle gang. And if they don't know who you are, you're clean cut, or whatever, might just say something, you better watch yourself. You know, you'd be like, serious stuff could happen right there. But this is women coming over to a woman acting like they're in the space bar and it's Luke Skywalker. I mean, you guys are a joke, is all I can say. And then you can't handle it. You want to go to public events and get in women's faces, and then we're supposed to do nothing. Here's Paul Watson's report. It's already got several million views just on YouTube alone. And it's also on Facebook. Here it is. It's at Infowars.com. Let's tweet it out right now at Real Alex Jones. PewDiePie, ban all things. Here it is.
Freedom of speech.
Have you seen the new edition of the Regressive Left Dictionary? Fascist, noun. A person who disagrees with my opinion. Neo-Nazi, noun. A person who makes jokes about Nazis. So PewDiePie is commanding an internet troll army of neo-Nazis because he made a Hitler joke, which you took completely out of context. You people never fail to disappoint, do you? I guess we better exhume the body of Charlie Chaplin and charge him with hate crimes. I guess we better lock up John Cleese and throw away the key. J.K. Rowling says PewDiePie is trivializing fascism. No, you're the one trivializing fascism when you call everyone a fascist over a frigging joke. You've destroyed the meaning of the word. You've obliterated nuance. But Rowling says the neo-Nazi website Daily Stormer loves PewDiePie. So that must make him a neo-Nazi, right? Yeah, it doesn't quite work like that. And isn't it rich that the same mainstream media who constantly whine about Trump shutting down free speech is now crucifying PewDiePie in a unified effort to shut down free speech?
Jews.
Here's the thing. Regressives have almost succeeded in making Facebook and Twitter sterile safe spaces, and now they're coming after YouTube. Look at this Reddit thread. Look how panicked they are about PewDiePie.
There is near unanimous support of PewDiePie. Even Casey Neistat, a huge liberal YouTuber, is being vocal in his support of PewDiePie. All of this even though he just gave support to Sargon of disgusting. It's scary because these people have huge influence on kids, and it seems that YouTube itself has turned right.
Yeah, YouTube has really turned right because Casey...
I will be voting for Hillary Clinton.
Neistat is really right-wing. Sargon of Akkad, a self-proclaimed...
Let's back it up 10 seconds. I'm going to come out in the next segment and play the rest of it. But listen, what's happening here? You notice they say, we've got to ban this because this is really popular. That's what it's really all about. So you make your little safe spaces and what they admit are mental illness induction centers at the colleges to create wrecked, confused, dysfunctional people getting worthless degrees. This is all declassified. And then you come off your safe spaces and you want to make YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and everybody else's personal website a safe space. And you don't want to see our colloidal silver and body armor ads advertised on Google. So you go complain, and then, oh, look, we're banned there. You have such power, big bullying groups who are nothing but AstroTurf, that the globalists have made the politically protected groups. But just like what we've seen happen with Dig years ago and, MySpace, as they begin to censor these things, they make everyone exodus off. And there's an exodus out of MSM, an exodus right out of Facebook and Twitter. And I'm already found another great advertising platform that doesn't even work with these groups that'll probably be even more successful. So God is certainly blessing us, so thank you all for your prayers. But, I mean, you talk about a bunch of basically spoiled brats who run around screaming racism all day. And when I go to these events to cover them, they're like 90% white, screaming, "You're an effing white male, shut up." So I'm not trying to blame white people. It's just a fact that stereotypical social justice warrior is a disenfranchised, criminally inclined white person. You got to have some self-confidence in this world, but you can't be a confident person that then looks down on people that don't have the skills you have, because if you start doing that, you become nothing but a predator. So there's massive censorship that a lot of folks are involved in right now. And PewDiePie, Paul Watson did a report on this guy. I know he's been huge forever, but since they tried to censor him and took a bunch of his sponsors away, he's gotten even bigger. I mean, my older daughter comes home from school and says, "Can we please watch PewDiePie? You're on some of his new videos. Oh my gosh, Daddy, you're so famous. Oh my gosh, Daddy, you're on PewDiePie. You're on PewDiePie. He's so handsome. PewDiePie." In between Paul Watson, I love Paul Watson. I mean, I'm telling you, folks, Paul Watson is becoming as popular as PewDiePie, but he's doing serious political analysis, not, the 10 best cat videos. This is so exciting, folks. Because real satisfaction is knowing, even if they take me out or something, we have found all these superstars of liberty like Paul Watson and others. Let's go back to the piece.
A unanimous support of PewDiePie. Even Casey Neistat, a huge liberal YouTuber, is being vocal in his support of PewDiePie. All of this even though he just gave support to Sargon of disgusting. It's scary because these people have huge influence on kids, and it seems that YouTube itself has turned right.
Yeah, YouTube has really turned right because Casey...
I will be voting for Hillary Clinton.
Neistat is really right-wing. Sargon of Akkad, a self-proclaimed liberal, is really right-wing. PewDiePie, a guy from the most left-wing country on the planet, is really right-wing. This isn't about right-wing. It's about anyone daring to express a thought crime or make a joke that triggers your insatiable desire to ban all the things.
Sie Kyle. Sie Kyle. Sie Kyle.
Here's fake news website BuzzFeed. How YouTube serves as the content engine of the internet's dark side. Oh, and who do we have here? Oh, it's my name, Sargon of Akkad. Then in the very next sentence,
conspiratorial white identity neo-Nazis.
Morally and ethically, shouldn't YouTube be asking itself the same hard questions as Facebook and Twitter about the role it plays in a representative democracy?
Yeah, morally and ethically, shouldn't BuzzFeed be asking itself, why BuzzFeed is cancer? What's next? Have you got a secret dossier about how me and Sargon hired hookers to piss on a bed? It never ceases to amaze me how incredibly stupid you regressive twats are. You picked a fight with a guy who has 53 million subscribers. A guy who can rely on the support of other top YouTubers who have a combined total of hundreds of millions of subscribers. And look at what happened. He just red-pilled millions of young people about how your institution is in complete meltdown. How trusted media is cratering, how your ad revenue is dropping off a cliff. When are you going to realize you've lost your ability to control public opinion? When are you going to realize that everyone thinks you're an absolute joke? When are you going to realize that you don't have the moral high ground? Almost everybody hates you because you're making everything joyless and terrible. You've declared war on fun. The star of the much-loved 90s British comedy show Absolutely Fabulous says they can't even resurrect it because too many people would be offended. Most of the movies that have Oscars...
All right, the full report's up on Infowars.com. I'm tweeting it out at Real Alex Jones. By the way, PewDiePie has 15 billion views in 6 years. No wonder they want to shut him down. They're a bunch of jealous nobodies. Oh, I'm sorry, BuzzFeed didn't get into their last press conference because you're fake news that made up PP-gate. And nobody reads you but your own little foppish followers and other control freaks. You're a bunch of anti-liberal scum. I'm Alex Jones, your host. Millie Weaver, one of our reporters, is here in studio with us. If you're a radio listener, you can always watch at Infowars.com/show, the free feeds, or they're archived every day for PrisonPlanet.tv members, and then large excerpts are posted to YouTube, Facebook, and other third-party platforms. But more and more, we're having to focus on our own platforms because of the massive censorship that is now being executed against us. If you just tuned in, PewDiePie, who has been big for 6 years, has right at 15 billion views on YouTube, according to his About page. That's from YouTube. Okay, and this was a few days ago, but joined in 2010, 6.5 years ago, and there he is, almost at 15 billion views, not to mention all the derivative channels that are out there. It's much higher than that. So when YouTube told me 2 years ago, their vice president said, listen, you have 5 billion views, not just your channels that have a couple billion views, but you have 5 billion views. You've never monetized this. You can monetize everybody's channels and bring in a lot of money to fund yourself. But I didn't want to have everybody's channels get shut down with copyright claims. So I said, no, let's just monetize the 18 channels we have. And so it brings in a fraction of what it would. But people like PewDiePie, he brings in, years ago, more than $10 million a year. Well, they've taken his sponsors away, and YouTube has said, if you make any more Hitler jokes, you're going to be banned. Now, putting this in context, this guy has more viewers than Fox News. Tens of millions every day. The absolute key demographic of young people ages 10 to about 20. He's got the demographic you want for branding for the rest of somebody's life. The guy has more viewers in a couple days than the Super Bowl. But then why is the Super Bowl God? Because it's the old system. And granted, it's got 80 million viewers. It's big. But how do we have 80 million viewers some weeks, and we're just nobody? We're just, we're fake news. Who cares? Again, the only thing we haven't figured out how to do in the new media that's bigger than the old media is monetize it to fully displace the globalist press. And they know that. That's why there's a perfect storm of wanting to kick us off the internet, kick us off terrestrial radio. They kicked us off XM when Goldman Sachs came in and kind of kicked Clear Channel out. I'm not in business with Clear Channel. They had some nice VPs there that I talked to that put us on XM a few years ago, 8 years ago, and it was very successful. But just giving people some background here of why I'm talking about this. This isn't just about Infowars or some guy on YouTube that has 14 billion plus views, almost 15 billion on one channel. It's about the fact that he did a Charlie Chaplin skit. The guy's anti-Nazi, by the way, and they've taken all the sponsors.
Yeah, and he was making fun of the Nazis. So it's like you can't even make fun of the Nazis because then they're going to point the finger at you anyway for saying something slightly anti-Semitic.
But any other mainstream channel can do whatever they want. We can show leaked WikiLeaks combat video. ABC News can have their own YouTube and show it. They don't get a strike. We do. So what I'm saying is, even though we're bigger than the dinosaur media, and Drudge is, and PewDiePie, and everybody, there's hundreds of prominent people that have more views than mainstream media individually. This is how they're shutting us down, is selectively enforcing made-up rules.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happening. And I've even experienced it myself on my YouTube channel, the Millennial Millie channel. Where
everything you do political is, tell folks about it.
Yeah, well, I posted a video about how Infowars is under attack and how, we had our advertisement last week and how that was a big deal, and all the video was just me saying this and saying how we're under attack. And next thing you know, I look on there and YouTube demonetized the video. Now, a separate thing from the monetization aspect, you're not making money once they demonetize, but the main thing is that their algorithms actually promote the videos that are monetized. So what it actually does is it's a way of stifling your video because it's not a priority. They want to
Let's
put
be clear.
YouTube
last week allowed to family audiences a video of gay men defecating on each other and urinating on each other, but because they're gay, it's okay.
Yes, that's exactly.
But if we say a cuss word, they will ban our video and kick us off. Or if you go out to a public event, you go out and do interviews in a public event this weekend, people will come over and say, delete your video, and then somebody, we have the YouTube emails here,
yes,
goes and investigates us, and they almost took our channel down, our video down, because it'll give you a strike. But they said, no, actually, you weren't showing personal or secret data. No, there's no perception of privacy when you're at a public event in a woman's face, 3 women around Millie bullying her. So I want to get to this because you show document cam shots for TV viewers so people can actually see the letter. But this is what we deal with, where we can't go to public rallies where they yell, scream, and cuss at us. And we bleep it out on YouTube. We simply show them physically threatening a woman, and then we're the bad people. See, because they're God. And this is why they've been set up as the political movement to take over, because they have no morals. And I don't mean morals in what they do sexually. I mean, they have no sense of justice. Go ahead, I'm ranting.
That's exactly it. You know, I'm out at this event. I'm covering the news. I'm just reporting. I'm going up. I'm conducting interviews with a microphone. And, you know, everybody saw that I was clearly conducting interviews. And the people actually came up and willfully participated in the interview. And it was only later that these 3 huge butch lesbians came up to me and started threatening me. And I'm a pretty reasonable person. If you want to come up and just be like, hey, you know, could you just not use that little snippet of me in the interview? It's going to conflict with work.
By the way, you were out there.
I would definitely agree and say, you know what? It wasn't even that great of an interview.
By the way, you were out there by yourself because the cameraman was off doing stuff in the car at that point.
Because
they waited till the one man that was with you left. Then they came over. Plus, people run over and scream the whole time. Don't talk to her. She's with Infowars, and even when someone wants to talk to you, people come over and try to stop them. So it's this again. Yes. It's a cult in my view.
It is. That's exactly what it is, and they're just big bullies. And you can see right here in the video footage, they're bullying me here. They're threatening me that if I don't delete the footage in my camera, that they are posturing at me like they're going to stop me. They're going to, you know, beat me up. The girl even smacked my camera in this. You know, I mean, they were getting pretty aggressive. And some of these, not this one, but these other girls here, they were like 6 feet tall. They were huge. So at the same point, it's like, okay, you're going to bully me.
You're a small woman. How tall are you?
I'm probably about 5'5". Yeah, you know, I'm small compared to these women.
Well, if you Google, anybody can search engine this, lesbians have the highest level of family violence of any group. I'm not against lesbians. My whole thing is I've seen the stereotype in Austin to be the real deal where, I mean, it's like, you know, cigarettes wrapped up, you know, on the shoulder like James Dean. I'm in your face. There it is. This is what domestic violence is like when you're LGBT. And then it just goes through the whole thing. I mean, it's just, I don't get how the archetype of being inclusive to the press, inclusive to a woman, women are being beaten up all over the country when they go to Trump events or Milo events. And these people are proud of it. I don't understand. And then we're the bad people. And
the craziest part to me is, okay, they were mad because they said I violated their safe space, which nobody knows the rules to violating their safe space. So it's just,
they just arbitrarily make them up. The safe space is in front of the Capitol at a rally at night.
Exactly. I guess so. But anyway, you know, I
public
go up
places, they own them.
Yeah. That's what they think. And so
they come out to a rally to get attention on the news. The news shows up. And because it's Infowars, because we're, say, 1,000 times bigger than a local TV station, let's say 2,000 times bigger, let's not underestimate, maybe 3 times 1,000. Because we're so huge and so real, we're not human, we don't have any rights.
Yeah, that's it. And you know what the craziest part is some of these were transgender people most likely taking hormones, steroids, whatever else, testosterone. And, you know, between men and women, there's like a rule, almost like an unspoken rule that our culture has, that men don't attack women. Men don't hit women. And women aren't supposed to hit women either. You know why? Because
a bunch of men are about to come kill you.
Yeah, and so what it was, okay, they're coming up to me almost like looking somewhat very masculine, almost like men, probably taking these hormones, but in their mind, they felt they could attack me. We're guessing.
That's part of the culture we don't know. We're speculating. They look, they're very, very aggressive, absolutely. I'm going to skip this break so we have more time. It's like a 12-minute report. And now, again, we can't even use the name of what was in the news, what was in the paper. We can't use the official name because then we'll be censored on YouTube for using a word they say we can't use, which was appropriated. The word queer just means strange or unusual. Then it was used as an insult or a pejorative. And so now these groups, which is fine, have taken the term on as a thing of pride. But what they're saying is in literature, art, and culture, only they can use it. Well, now they took the word gay, though, which just means a happy day. Or, you know, a gay lad, or, you know, a gay puppy, or whatever. It was a gay day. So again, more and more words are appropriate, and we now see the game. We first give them the first words they want. They're just using these people. This is the globalists, admittedly, wanting to come in and end the language, end debate, ban whiteboards because somebody might write something on them that hurts somebody's feelings. Truly ban everything.
That's truly it. And, you know, as far as these emails that I got from YouTube saying that I needed to basically remove this content or blur these people out. Well, the people, I'm assuming it was the people that came up and bullied me because they were the ones who were so adamant against this video. They were probably the ones who made the complaint, and they said that I used their personal information, which is not true because that would be like your social security number, your phone number, your address. So they made a false complaint. And
we've had these fake reports.
Yeah.
In fact, this weekend, I almost called you to come on Sunday, and I said, I'll let her have some time. But I was going to call you guys and say, watch, someone's going to put a report in.
Yeah.
Because I know this is what happens.
It's exactly
Let's go over more of these letters for folks, because this is happening. Again, this is for you going to a public rally, showing them acting aggressively, meanly, I would say abusively, in my opinion. But again, we have to be penalized. Let's go over this letter. Go ahead and read it.
Yeah, they want to censor us, you know, and if we don't fight back, if we don't say, hey, this is enough, then they're going to win. This is what, you know, basically they started out saying that this is to notify you that we've received a privacy complaint from an individual regarding your content. And this is where they basically just tried to say that I was, you know, using somebody's private information. And then I disputed it, because if we don't dispute this stuff, then we lose and they silence us. And this is
they take your channel down.
Exactly. This is what part of what I said. I'll just read some of the highlights. They also froze the comments on the video. It said, I've reviewed the alleged privacy complaint. This is a false complaint. All people shown spoke into my handheld microphone with foreknowledge that I was conducting interviews. No private information of anyone is ever displayed anywhere within the video. Everything shown in this video is from the public and what people willfully displayed in the public at a public event.
Absolutely. Everything no perception of privacy, especially in a rally. A rally is the one absolute place you have no privacy.
Yes, and I just went on to say that everything shown in this video falls under public domain and fair use and is protected by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution and the Fair Use Doctrine. And then, lo and behold, YouTube comes back to me later and says, oh, okay, we reviewed the complaint, and basically it doesn't violate any rules, and, you know, they're not going to remove it. Now, again,
a lot of viewers are asking, why are we obsessing over one video and what happened? Because it's a microcosm of a guy that has 14.7 billion views, almost 15 billion views, the biggest thing in the world, okay? I mean, let's just say it. PewDiePie is the biggest thing on TV, internet world, period. Like Drudge is the biggest thing when it comes to news, okay? Here we are, right below that tier, but hardcore info, reaching the politicos, the military, world leaders. I mean, Infowars isn't just talking to kids.
Yep.
Kids are great to talk to, but I'm very proud of the fact that we have a very highbrow audience, okay, when it comes to you know, the intelligentsia, people like General Flynn and many, many others that are in the White House right now. But you look at this, again, this is them taking something totally wholesome, totally good that we did, bleeping out the cussing, all of it, and then it's our fault when clearly they're the ones misbehaving. By any yardstick, this is a false claim, a false report, and as outrageous as an attack on the First Amendment. Just like I saw people getting beat up all over D.C. with their families trying to get into the inauguration. The news then announced that I was arrested for fighting. None of it was even true. The police were protecting me, just like Cleveland. So they said the same thing in Cleveland. I was arrested. They sit there with fake news all day saying we're the fake news and saying Donald Trump's a liar. He isn't bringing jobs back when every number shows. No president's ever done it this quick. Took Reagan 4 years to get it going like this. Trump's done it in 45 days. It's insane. But again, it's a total inversion of reality. So if they can shut down you know, other top YouTubers and us, they can shut anybody down. And this is happening right now. And people need to understand that they can't just take this information for granted. They need to understand that we're in very, very dark times because, yes, we're winning politically, but that's why big corporations and governments want to shut us down and shut you down, because we are winning, folks. We're that close. It's why they're out bullying the town halls and the city councils and the state houses. It's why they're death threatening everybody. It's why they're calling for President Trump's death, because he's a nationalist, populist champion of incredible courage, taking action and defeating the enemy like nothing I've ever seen. They call that bootlicking. That's called reality. Okay, if Trump was going sideways, I'd be all over him like King Kong. Okay, it's just not true. The attacks on him are misrepresentations. They censor him. He says fake news is the enemy of the American people. They go, oh, he says all media is the enemy and he wants to shut down the media. Never said any of that. They lie. They're the ones calling for us to be shut down. Obama signed the bill to start shutting down the alternative media. We are the media. We're winning, audience. Know that. Support our local AM and FM affiliates, because that may be the only place we're on soon, the way this is going.
Exactly.
I mean, I've been kicked off XM despite the fact it was huge revenue. Clear Channel was making a lot of money selling ads on my show. We were one of the most popular shows on XM, political talk. They wanted to give me my own channel. And then the foreign investors came in and said, you take him off. Then the same foreign multinational groups came in and bought me off the local station I was on. They said, we'll give you $100,000 a quarter to take him off and put these sponsors in. And they said, no, and they said 200,000, 300,000. I mean, so they just said, okay. I mean, that's what goes on, folks, to shut us up. Why is it? Because if we ever catch fire, which is starting to happen, you think we're big now? Wait till we really catch fire. It's over for them.
Yep.
Millie, I'm ranting. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. And if you're somebody on YouTube that wants to just put out a bunch of mindless entertainment that's just, nothing interesting, there's no political
But they're even
topics,
shutting that down now because they can't compete with even Blither.
Yeah.
And Blither's better than them trying to hurt families and globalism and tell us GMO's good. So the fact is they don't want anybody that's got an audience but them.
Exactly, because they want it controlled. They want it in their spectrum where they can do their programming. It's just like, what Mika Zabrinsky said the other day on air. We're the ones that control the programming. We're the ones that control
that shows her arrogance. I mean,
it's exactly what they think.
They're so arrogant. That's behind closed doors. They say that now. They're externalizing the method. This is a 12-minute video. Let's just play a few minutes from the first to get a flavor, and then fast forward to the bullying at the end. And again, give folks the name of the video.
The name of the video is Ultimate Cringe. I think it was Queer Dance Freakout at the Governor's Mansion. There it is, LGBTQ Dance Freakout Protest, Ultimate Cringe video.
Yeah, again, we didn't use the name they gave it, queer.
Yes.
Because they'll probably follow up
That's
here
their event.
saying we can't even say the name they said.
Yeah,
that word's theirs, nobody else's. This is an attack on language, just like 1984, and they're using our own liberal sensibilities to get us to give up our speech because they know Americans are very tolerant and very liberal. I'm very liberal in my life about don't hurt somebody, don't hurt yourself,
yes.
You do whatever you want. Everybody knows that. People know that about Trump. That's why they misrepresent it. Let's go to the report.
Infowars! Let me get this straight.
Yeah,
you want conservatives to be tolerant of you and let you guys use any bathroom you choose, but you're going to be intolerant towards me just because I have an Infowars microphone.
So I've watched Infowars before. You call people like me cucks, lipdards, betas, and crying PCY babies. So
when they go effing white male, or what? He said about you. See, he doesn't even get it.
Millie Weaver reporting for Infowars.com. We're here in Austin, Texas, outside of the Governor's Mansion, where there's a dance-off festival being held. Well, the image of this festival showed a picture of Donald Trump having his brains blown out by a rainbow that was coming out of a vagina with wings. So you can see that there's a lot of anti-Donald Trump sentiment here. It's also important to note that the governor of Texas is handicapped and does use a wheelchair.
And they had kids there. They had naked women running around. They had people, just engaging in disgusting behavior, and
it's the
they had
fall
children
of society.
Can't really dance with them.
No one's ever said no to these people, so they just
let's go ahead
now
and
they want to tell
talk
us
to
how to
them
talk and what to do.
see how they feel about Donald Trump. But the main thing here is, are they going to be tolerant towards me because I'm an Infowars supporter, while they're trying to say that conservatives need to be tolerant of them?
And you're classically feminine too. They don't like that.
What were you saying about Infowars?
I just said that's Infowars.
Well, what brings
That's a
you
pretty
out
nice
here today?
person. I remember that.
The dance party.
Infowars! Let me get this straight. You want conservatives to be tolerant of you and let you guys use any bathroom you choose, but you're going to be intolerant
Most people came
towards
from very
me.
oppressive families that told them sex was bad and stuff, so now they go the other extreme.
Infowars before. You call people like me cucks, lipdards, betas, and crying PCY babies. So you.
That just because, excuse me, sir, we're not saying that directed towards homosexuals in any way. What's happening over here? Well, we're just trying to talk to people. What brings you out here today? Well, who are you?
And again, if people ask why we leave the boring ones in, because we're not
outlet.
editing this.
We're Infowars.
We cut out the dead spaces. We're showing you what happened.
We would be considered anti-establishment.
There was one guy that's kind of funny, and he's like,
Talking to different people.
he starts proposing to you.
Yeah, that was this lady here. She was like trying to basically tell me I needed to disclose who I was to her.
Even though it's you got a flag on the microphone. She doesn't know what that means.
I guess not.
Perspective. We don't lobby. We just report the news.
We're libertarians, man. We're here to help.
People should be able to use whatever bathroom they want.
Yeah?
Bathrooms. Bathrooms. Let's obsess on bathrooms.
People by their pronouns?
No, I don't, but I think it's a very courteous and kind thing to do. My pronoun is they.
They?
Yeah, that's her. Or they's pronoun.
I mean, look,
They.
this looks like a total cult. I'm sorry. This
I have a hard time with the pronoun thing because it wants you to speak grammatically
This is in
incorrect.
public schools and colleges everywhere. You have to Z, all this, Star Trek cook baloney. They can never talk, never have points. Just F you, F you.
You guys want tolerance? I'm tolerant, yes.
So she's just cursing me out, and then I'm like, are you tolerant? She's like, I'm tolerant, yes.
And then other people try to talk to you, and later they won't let you talk to them. Alex Jones needs a drug test because I have energy.
I think that most of the people there would not have passed a drug test.
But she's saying, give Alex Jones a drug test. I mean, what does that even mean? Like, I'm not the one running around in circles with a bunch of naked people and, kids.
Yeah.
I mean, right by the Capitol in the governor's mansion in the middle of the street. They're like running around naked going, like they're all insane. And then we're just sitting here trying to cover it, and they're mad at us, and we need to be drug tested. See, the power of the state needs to come in and get us. We're going to come back and show the bullying and the Dr. Corsi's. Got breaking news. At the start of the next hour, we've got a very important investigative report by Rob Jacobson and Darren McBreen dealing with the plan that was laid out in a book published just a month ago by Chelsea Clinton that's gotten no attention, calling for global government through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation with her at the head of it. That all got dropped because, or at least got postponed for the time being, because by the grace of God, obviously, Hillary Clinton did not get in. But that's how big the stakes were. So a special report. Then Gerald Celente, at about 15 after, joins us, the trends forecaster for the balance of the hour. And then Josh Owen is going to be hosting the fourth hour. Yeah, Owen Schroyer. I always cross Josh Owen and Owen Schroyer together. I had a teleprompter free. One of our great camera and editors, Josh Owen with Owen Schroyer. Owen Schroyer, our social justice warrior slayer, he'll be hosting the fourth hour with the blitzkrieg of the news and information. We're going to go to Dr. Jerome Corsi here in just a few minutes, but I wanted to finish up with our own Millie Weaver, or Leanne McAdoo, no, Millie Weaver, but those names aren't that close.
Yeah.
With this weekend, what day was this by the Capitol? Friday?
I think it was Thursday.
Thursday, okay. So you have the LGBTQ, but now it's 50 designations according to Facebook. Folks out there, and whether they're trannies or women, men, whatever, I don't hate any of them. Okay, I don't want to sit there and say that over and over again. There's this presumption that we're all out to get you, and you're movie stars, and we're bad people, and you should be able to train our kids at age 5 to do whatever you want. And so Millie's talking about this video they tried to get taken down off YouTube, saying that we were in a private event showing private information. And YouTube rightfully said, no, this is a false claim. But the reason I'm covering it is it's happening everywhere now. And a lot of times they're actually honoring these things and taking channels down and taking the sponsorship of one channel that has 14, almost 15 billion views that we talked about earlier, PewDiePie. So they want to shut down not just Infowars, not just Drudge, not just Breitbart, who they're taking the sponsors away from and banning them off ad roll, and all the rest of the same stuff's happening. And kicking our apps, Breitbart's apps, off of iTunes. This is outrageous interference. This is serious racketeering, in my view, and I've talked to lawyers, and they think that's the case. But now they're trying to get rid of channels that are just entertainment because they're so big, and it makes the corporations look bad and makes them jealous that PewDiePie has billions of viewers a year, way bigger than CNN, even bigger than Fox News, and he's incredibly popular with teenagers. So Millie's really popular with teenagers. Paul Watson is the second biggest thing on YouTube, bigger than Milo, bigger than Gavin McInnes, who are all great guys. It's not about who's the biggest. But our own Paul Watson has over 10 million views conservatively a week just on YouTube and Facebook. His tweets get more impressions than the BBC combined. That's been in the news. Hundreds of millions of impressions every week. Hundreds of millions of people read it. Folks, what I'm telling you is that's why they're all panicking, is because Trump understands this is happening and is riding in on this wave. How can they stand against it? So we're going to play this clip of the bullying, but go ahead with some final points, Millie.
Well, just a final point on that is, what Paul Watson was talking about with conservatism being the new counterculture, the new punk rock. We do have a lot of young people wanting to tune in to our channels, wanting to see what we have to say. And they're becoming, very interested, and it's diverting away from the mainstream media television programming. And that's the problem. They want to control the minds of the youth, and they don't like the fact that we're influencing them.
And look, well, while we're talking about being inclusive here in liberal Austin, I've had in the last week, this always happens with McAdoo, but I've had 2 guys and 1 lady come over and say, I have a crush on Millie Weaver. more of her on the show. So the point is, we're just dominating. And we're not here bragging how big we are. It's that fake stream media, old dinosaur media, is already imploding. And they don't know what to do. And so that's why they're trying to shut us down. We're going to go to Dr. Corsi here in about 2 minutes. But here it is. They wanted this at a public event taken down. They were telling her to erase footage she had of an interview they consented to in front of the Capitol at a rally with the media in attendance. Yeah. No perception of privacy. You gave the interview. Then they tried to take down, or someone claiming they were them, take down our YouTube channel because of it. Again, this is the mindset. They're bullying and threatening a woman, but it's okay because they're LGBTQ, barbecue, whatever it is. Here it is.
What's your #1 cause that you're fighting for? I mean, you can't prioritize people's lives, you know? It's an intersectional thing. So, I mean, gay rights, trans rights, rights of all marginalized people, especially people of color, like, you can't rape them. I don't know what the going on, honestly. I don't understand where we are. I don't know how we got to here. We just need to dance. I swear that is like the solution.
At least she talked to her.
Yeah. But I was dressed as Rainbow.
And look, now these women butt in. Here it is.
Yeah, what YouTube channel though? Why are you guys like coming up to me like that?
Because you want to know, because you killed my partner for stuff. You killed my partner. Stop. Why are you being so crazy and weird?
You guys are being crazy.
We're asking because you filmed about my partner and that's their now personal image. So you have to delete that. They don't want that on there anymore.
Okay.
So can you? I'd like to.
Yeah, sure. I'll delete it.
Okay. So let's watch you do it right now.
You know what you're doing right now. Okay.
Yeah, let's watch it.
Oh,
don't get that in my face.
All right, sure.
This is news gathering. You're not on a
I'm
Pepsi
wearing my
commercial.
rainbow snatch disguise right now. Everything was going great. I was interviewing these SJWs. I was trying my best to, to blend in and mesh with their, their programming and whatnot, their political correctness as Rainbow Snatch. And as I'm going along, I interviewed these transgender lesbian types, and they ended up asking me some questions after the interview, and it was really a boring interview. Nothing really exciting happened in this interview. And then afterward, they're like, "Oh, where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? You guys it on YouTube? Look me up on."
What it was they were completely like surrounding me and intimidating me, hitting the camera into my face, posturing that they were going to, beat me up.
Let's hear it.
But they didn't realize that I got them coming up and threatening me. All of them have their own safe spaces with different rules.
All right, Millie, closing comments. I'm going to go to Dr. Corsi. I appreciate you having the courage to do that, but we've got to send out some more crew with you, because as soon as your camera guy went to the car to get some more, batteries, that's when they descended on you.
Yes, that's exactly it. And, you don't know when these people are going to get triggered. They're so volatile. I really do think that there's a mental illness somewhat plays a role in why somebody would come up and threaten me like this and try to bully me into, turning my footage off or deleting footage. And the bottom line is, I did
more
turn
than
off
mental
my
illness,
camera.
more than mental illness, and of course that's your opinion, my opinion. We can all have opinions.
Yeah.
It's a sense of entitlement.
That's what it is.
It's a raging entitlement and arrogance.
That's exactly what it is. And they felt like they said I violated their safe space and that they had a right for me to delete their footage because I violated their safe space, which I don't even know how I did that or how I could have done that as Rainbow Snatch. Okay.
All right. What do you got coming up next? I know you're working on a lot of stuff. We got full coverage tonight, 7 o'clock, an hour before Trump. Then we'll have the live event where he speaks to Congress and this biggest speech yet in his own words. And then after that, we're going to have live coverage afterwards tonight, 7 o'clock Central. It kicks off. There'll be free feeds at Infowars.com/show. What else is coming up?
Well, we're just excited to see Donald Trump's press conference. That's going to be coming out tonight, and we got some really cool bullet points, which Trump's going to be talking on. He's going to be talking on jobs, education. He's going to be talking about some issues and how he's going to help improve some of the inner cities.
All right. Thank you so much. Great job, Millie. But again, we have to illustrate they wanted this taken down, tried to have it taken down for our free speech when they're the ones hitting her, slapping her, and threatening her. Dr. Jerome Corsi doesn't need any introduction. He's on Twitter at twitter.com/Jerome_Corsi. We got Gerald Celente coming up in the next hour. Dr. Corsi will be with us till 5 after. He has got some major breaking news. He received his PhD from Harvard University in political science in '72. He's currently senior staff writer now here at Infowars. for our Washington bureau, which he's setting up and developing and getting going. And of course, he's written 3 New York Times #1 bestsellers, formerly headed up a lot of operations there at the Great WorldNetDaily.com. And again, he's got major breaking news. Part 2, the story is up on Infowars.com right now, dealing with what really happened with Obamacare and where Obama looted the money. Exclusive, Obama illegally robbed Fannie Mae, Freddie to fund Obamacare. Now, that's yesterday's article. The new article we're going to tell you about here in a moment that's up on Infowars.com. Dr. Corsi is going to join us to break that down. So fill us in on the first article and now part 2. I mean, you're linked to court cases. You're linked to the public record. No one else has reported this. I guess one of your White House tipsters told you, hey, you might want to look at this. Simply amazing.
Well, the information did come from inside. Some of the top consultants in Washington said, we've got to look at this. And what the story is that Fannie and Freddie were the 2 mortgage giants. These are the 2 federal mortgage giants. Were suffering losses in 2008, 2009, although I'm not even sure now the losses were there. I think that might be a cover story too. At any rate, the federal government put through the Treasury $187 billion in notes into Fannie and Freddie. There's investors, there's private investors in Fannie and Freddie. And what we found out was that when Congress would not allow taxpayer money to go into paying the insurance subsidies in Obamacare, the Obama administration just put these 2 mortgage giants into a conservatorship and stole the money. The investors didn't get a penny. All the dividends, all the earnings, all the profits went into the Treasury, and the Treasury used the money to pay for Obamacare subsidies.
Now, you're an expert in banking and in fraud and have been a consultant to the government, State Department, you name it. So you're more than a journalist, you're an expert on this area. How big is this? How criminal is this? How massive is this scandal?
Well, it's huge. I mean, this is $187 billion that was just stolen by the illegally taken. You know, the administrative branch of the executive branch is not able to have taxing powers, and it can't just reallocate money that's supposed to go to private investors, which is the nature of Fannie and Freddie, steal that money from them, say, you're not going to get paid anything. Your rights as a shareholder, we're going to ignore. And that money then comes into Treasury, and Treasury says, well, Congress told us we can't use taxpayer money to pay for the Obamacare subsidies. Obamacare is broke, so in order to keep it from going bankrupt, we'll just steal this money. We'll just confiscate it from Fannie and Freddie and put it into Obamacare. Now, that also weakens Fannie and Freddie so that they're vulnerable should there be another financial downturn, because that money also should have gone to propping up the reserves of the 2 mortgage giants. It's a huge theft, and at the victims in this are the shareholders of Fannie and Freddie and the mortgage holders who are depending upon a strong Fannie and Freddie in the future, the capital needed to underwrite the mortgages in this country. And the Obama administration simply did this surreptitiously. I mean, it's taken us 2 years to really figure out what happened. And as we're now getting court cases proceeding, that's what my second article is about, we're getting documents. They tried to keep almost 11,000 documents. First it was 50,000 documents. Now they're down to 11,000 documents.
So that's how this is coming out, is via discovery, and you're linked to it all. What's crazy is when you said I have an exclusive a few days ago, you told me about it, and I went and search engined it, and certainly there was nothing there. Then when I read your first article, you were linked to federal lawsuits. You'd think MSM, even if they're anti-Trump, would not want to rip off the taxpayer and would want to expose $100+ billion swindle just to begin with, but they don't. They're so much worse than they even were 5 years ago. At least you still had people, at CBS who would expose Fast and Furious. Now it seems like they've culled everyone. They've run everybody off that had any basic decency. I mean, if Trump was doing something like this, I'd expose it instantly. I cannot believe the criminal level of the collusion that's going on.
Well, the mainstream media is determined to run the story that Obamacare is successful. The people have gotten insurance that they need that wouldn't otherwise be insured. Now, what they aren't saying is that the exorbitant cost on others getting insurance and in fact, the need to steal money from Fannie and Freddie, these two mortgage giants, in order to keep the insurance subsidies afloat. The truth is that Obamacare is already bankrupt and has been bankrupt.
And the truth is, we know that they knew it was a giant looting operation all along. It was never even meant to help people, but to take over 1/7 of the U.S. economy, which they now admit it's wrecked, but they act like it was just a mistake. No, from your own research and from my own research, clearly, is it correct to say, Dr. Corsi, this was engineered as a screw job, in their own words, to ruin healthcare, to then bring in single payer? They admit that.
It was rigged to fail from the very beginning. Obamacare was created to fail, and the fail-safe was going to be the federal government comes in and takes over the entire healthcare industry. But the story here is that to take over the healthcare industry, they also took over the housing industry. They've also gone into Fannie and Freddie, which are the basic...
And that's the key. They used laws they did in the 90s to allow the bubble with the Clintons. Then they come in with the banking regulation, housing reform laws of Frank Dodd, as you know.
Yes.
Let's elaborate on that, which shuts down the small banks, the small lenders, and only lets the mega banks engage in it. Again, further vertical integration.
And it pushed all the mortgage market into Fannie and Freddie. Fannie and Freddie,
which they then looted criminally. This is incredible, including private investors. That's what's in the lawsuit, correct?
It's in the lawsuit. I mean, you've got private investors out there who bought stock and are just being told, we're told by the Obama administration, you're not going to get anything in your stock because we confiscated it into the Treasury.
So this is like a bail-in. This is like Cyprus or Greece, where they just grab 30% of your bank account, but instead they just grab investors' systems that the government manages, showing us we don't want the government managing private investments.
And they lied. They were saying, well, we have to put a conservatorship here and take over the profits because Fannie and Freddie are failing.
You know, the story here is that your articles are so well documented. How in Hades did this never break? And now it's been out for 24 hours and no one's even picking it up. This is sensational.
I'm finding in the Twitter feed, or look at my Twitter, look at what's going on in Infowars, that now there are literally millions of people aware that the Obama...
No, I know we're reaching people, and so it's a great story. What I'm saying is the silence from MSM is deafening.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're going to ignore this because, I mean, the Obama administration robbed the housing industry to keep afloat a failing healthcare program.
And by the way, that's not rhetoric. This is clear cut. But I mean, you're a fraud expert. You're a banking expert. Explain to people in layman's terms in 60 seconds what he did.
Well, I mean, I was the one who caught HSBC on their money laundering. They got a $1.9 billion fine. It was my stories that broke that. And here I'm saying we've got a major scandal that the Obama administration has been risking putting the mortgage industry at financial peril in order to bail out an already bankrupt Obamacare program. And that, which is, I mean, it's criminal. You can't just take the investors' earnings away, the dividends away, and say, well, Treasury is just going to confiscate them. That's what Obama said. And to the risk of the mortgage market. I mean, Fannie and Freddie now are the pillars upon which our mortgage market depends. And by taking out, over $200 billion in profits from Fannie and Freddie, they've put Fannie and Freddie in a much more risky financial position than had that money gone to dividend payers.
Sure, but the key here is I read the statutes you quote, and plus I've studied the law, because we all covered the housing crisis. I don't have degrees from Harvard like you, but I mean I can read the law and see what happened. This is clear-cut illegal. It was done clear-cut in secret. Just the so-called mandate in Obamacare, where Obama could kind of manipulate it how he wanted to, that still doesn't let him break the law. So what needs to happen? What do listeners need to do now to counter Obama and Gruber and everybody that call us dumb idiots? How do we become not dumb idiots and make sure he gets brought to justice? Because I think Trump is being really nice. He needs to get on the offensive against Hillary with the Russian connections and the Chinese connections. Former Congressman Kurt Weldon exposed last week here with you, that's admitted. We need to get on the offense with this Obamacare thing. And listen, have Sessions go after Obama. Obama has moved in 2 miles from the White House in a bunker, 30,000 activists. Trump comes out and says he thinks Obama is behind the unrest. Obama admits he's behind it. He's the quarterback for the coach that's George Soros. So it's not like we're looking for trouble. These are seditious people. And I agree with Mike Savage. It's time to take the gloves off, man. When foreign banks are trying to overthrow the government and kill the president and shut down the free press, it's time to go after them.
Well, I agree. I mean, this is outrageous. Congress specifically told Obama he could not use tax money in order to pay these Obamacare subsidies. The Obama administration had no way to pay them. So they start looking around. They figure, we've got this pot of money over in the mortgage Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and we can just go over and confiscate it. Legally, just take illegally, no law, no authorization, completely in violation of the Constitution, which does not allow the executive branch to begin to be its own taxing agent. And here Obama said, we're just going to secretly take this money under a ruse that Fannie and Freddie are.
Sure, let me ask you this, because as this comes out, we know they're going to claim this. They're going to say, well, this gave us the power to tax, which you and I said years before it was law, it was. They said, oh, it's not a tax. Then they hire 18,000 IRS agents, all the rest of it. Then the Supreme Court says it's a tax. So under this, was this a new power of the executive? So Obama's saying, hey, I can just grab private investments. I can grab hundreds of billions of people's money that they've invested in the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac system because I have this new power. So if that's the case, what else did he do we haven't learned about?
Well, in fact, I'm going to tell you that this story is just getting going. I mean, we're just beginning to get into it. It's very similar to what happened in the General Motors bankruptcy when Obama came in and confiscated the money of the subordinated debt holders who were first in line, really should have been first in line, instead of taking the stock in which Obama did, giving it to the labor union and told subordinated debt holders who I know or my friends in Wall Street that they dared complain about it, they would never work in that business again. And that's how the Obama administration's operated. Now we know Obama confiscated the dividend earnings of the private shareholders of Fannie and Freddie and really diverted that money, confiscated it without authorization from Congress, diverted it to pay for Obamacare when Obamacare was going bankrupt on these insurance subsidies. Now, if that isn't entirely a set of criminal actions that ultimately involves Geithner and the other heads of Treasury when this was going on from between 2012 and 2016, and it's still going on today.
Wow. Well, Dr. Corsi, everybody's got to get your articles out there on Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, Real Alex Jones on Twitter. It's just super important for everybody to get these out. We're going to have more reports from you in the next few days. I'm going to come back in just a moment. I want to ask you about the big speech tonight, the fact that even Bloomberg admits it's small investors that are actually making the market go up while big investors try to implode it selfishly just to kill our nationalist movement, just like we see the EU doing with Brexit. It's so transparent. They've clearly miscalculated. The poll numbers show that. We're going to talk to you about that in just one moment and then do one more segment with you if you can. Dr. Jerome Corsi of Infowars is our guest, setting up our Washington bureau as we speak. But coming to Quentin Carter, who does security around here, but also works with some of the products and, proves up some of the self-defense items that we carry in the store. Weldon came over and said, hey, Q brought this over. The new shirt came in. This is the proof. The shirts are coming in next week. They'll be shipped out to you. This is the new mega viral shirt. I can feel it. I know it. And it was Q's idea. I said, what should the new viral shirt be? I want something like the Hillary for President shirt that looks the same. He said, how about Trump, Pence 2020? And I said, genius. And I said, also keeping America great. And on the back it says, America first in 1776. That's what a nation state is. That's what a country is. And so they act like it's dirty. Let's exercise our free speech. Let's get out there. If you pre-order the shirt, again, that you see Q wearing, if you're a radio listener, go to Infowars.com/show. You can see the video feed, or go to InfoWarsStore.com. You can see the shirt, and it's $9.95. Now, again, an XXXL large costs us like $7 a piece. A small costs us like $4. On average, they cost a little over $5. They're printed right here in the United States. They're high quality. You meet like-minded people. You spread the word. You stand up against those that want to try to intimidate our free speech. You stand up against the globalist, and you fund the operation with a couple dollars each shirt. But the solidarity this shows, the power this shows at the upcoming Trump rallies and the big mega rally he's going to have, this is the new shirt. And so we will ship these out in the next week and a half or so as soon as they come in. They're being made right now. The 18-wheeler is going to be on its way, I'm told, in 2 days. And so it's great folks we've been using for over a decade to make a lot of our shirts, and they're coming. So Trump, Pence 2020. Q, what do you think of the shirt?
Absolutely. Love the shirt. Red, white, and blue. Bearing true faith and allegiance to the United States of America. America first. That's the whole point. We've been a great nation for a long time, and it's time to make it better again. It's time to not allow people to take away our right of free speech. You know, they're loud, they're vocal, they love to talk about it. Let's do the same thing.
And again, this is a shirt that isn't too shocking. It's classy. It looks good. And it's your right to wear it. And I'm going to start wearing these shirts. I've got my proof that just came in. That's it, you're wearing. I'm going to start wearing this sucker out there because, you know, I wear it sometimes, and I just want to have the kids with me. It's got to be done. These people want to intimidate us. They want to get in our face. Hey, reality check. It's a guy trying to cut your taxes. The economy's already exploding for the little guy. The globalists are pissed because we finally have a president that wants to actually be the president and not a New World Order globalist. So get the shirt, InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. And in closing, before we go back to Dr. Corsi here in just a minute, we have specials that will end tomorrow that go back to them kicking us off ad roll and Google ads, where we go outside of the operation, run ads, sell products to fund this information warfare system, where truth's our secret weapon. And so those specials of 33% off, 40% off, 25% off on the nutraceuticals and so many items and water filtration systems, those are going to end. InfoWarsStore.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. We also have the world's best reusable air filtration masks. Unbelievable. These are so comfortable. They work so good in the shop or in the bad pollen or out in L.A. with all the smog and the rest of it. It's incredible. We've got the RZ air filtration systems with the replacement filters and more at InfoWarsStore.com. That's our newest item. We only bring in the best. Thank you, Cube. We'll be back. I want to thank you all for your support. Dr. Corsi, 70 seconds away. Coming up, world government was to be run through healthcare via the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation with Chelsea Clinton at the head, just like they've got her in the foundation. She wrote a book, but they're not promoting it now because Hillary was supposed to get in. Amazing. That's coming up. Dr. Corsi, again, you are so prolific. It's great to have you on the team. I'm impressed. A couple articles a day, major scoops you give us. It's really incredible. Just overall, where do you see Trump at right now? I think he's over-delivering. I don't want to be some cheerleader or a bootlicker like Spin Magazine called it. I'm just very pleased to see somebody working their heart out like a lion to restore this republic. This is incredible.
I agree. I think he's done tremendously fulfilling his promises. And I think tonight's speech is going to be, from all the advanced word we're getting on it, is going to be a very solid speech on delivering on campaign promises. What's happening, though, is, the Obama forces are out en masse. And this is a war. I mean, I'm going to be surprised tonight if there isn't heckling from the gallery, completely inappropriate behavior that the Democrats would have gone up in arms about had anything been done with Obama in his first speech, his first State of the Union. The key element here is that the Obamacare is at the crux of a lot of this. This was the government takeover, global government takeover vehicle. And now we know from the articles we've been able to produce here, which is really groundbreaking, and only Infowars really covering the story.
Yeah, folks, if you want to kill Obamacare and make Paul Ryan do the right thing, get this article out, folks. Get it out to your community bank groups. Get it out to the news. Tell mainstream media, hey, get on this, cover this.
Yeah, because it's stealing from the average person in mortgages, the mortgage giants, which we depend on, stealing from the Fannie and Freddie, and also doing it such that the Obamacare was bankrupt and keeping that lie from the American people, disrespecting the investors in Fannie and Freddie. And this is going to be a big part of the speech tonight. I think Obama did not respect investment. He didn't respect the small investor. You're going to see a turnaround where Donald Trump knows that the economy depends on small companies creating jobs and the small investor. This economy is not based on the gigantic billionaires. It's based upon the hundreds of millions of Americans who employ others, invest their money, buy properties, and Obama was undermining our health system and our housing system.
Sure, and looting it illegally. Classical looting. Here's Joe Wilson at one of the State of the Unions saying that Obama, again, was lying about saying that Obamacare wouldn't cover illegal aliens, which we later learned it did. So they demonized this like it was the worst thing on earth. They openly say they're planning 100 times this tonight. Here's Joe Wilson.
The reforms I'm proposing would not apply to those who are here illegal.
And then, of course, we have Jonathan Gruber, one of the many clips, saying, thank God the American people are dumb and don't have attention spans. Here's that.
It's just, you can't do it politically. You just literally cannot do it. Okay? Transparent financing, unless I have transparent financing, also transparent spending. I mean, this bill was written in a tortured way to make sure CBO did not score the mandate as taxes. If CBO scored the mandate as taxes, the bill dies. Okay, so it's written to do that. In terms of risk-rated subsidies, if you had a law which said healthy people are going to pay in, it made explicit that healthy people pay in and sick people get money, it would not have passed. Okay, just like lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever.
There you go. That's the arrogance. Really... So let's never forget that, Dr. Corsi. If you want to, you can pop in after the speech tonight. We're going to have a live event. We're having Roger Stone on as well.
Happy to. I'll be available all evening. And I think this is the whole Obamacare was based on a lie, and that lie now we know stole from the mortgages of the country, the mortgage giants and investors in Fannie and Freddie, and it's intolerable.
It's much worse than we ever knew. Congratulations on breaking the scandal. Thank you, sir. Top globalists foreshadow an epidemic, apocalyptic biological attack. That's the sub-headline. I'm going to make that the main headline of the article on Infowars.com. Top globalists foreshadow an apocalyptic biological attack that will, again, bring in total world government. Chelsea Clinton wrote a book where she was going to be the head of the Bill and Melinda Gates program worldwide when her mother was president. That didn't happen, so now they're not promoting the book. This is huge. We're going to play this special report, and then we're going to, just a few minutes for the balance of the hour, go to Gerald Celente of Trends Research and the Trends Journal to break down. I want to get to the economy first, because he's really a smart guy when it comes to that, best-selling author as well, because, like Ron Paul said a month ago, what Trump's doing is great for the economy, but it may be too little too late, especially with how they're lined up trying to stop him. So we're going to talk to Gerald Celente, who's got his finger on the pulse of trendsresearch.com here in just a moment. But first, this is a really important report that Rob Jacobson and Darren McBreen put together, because it goes to the mindset, it goes to the system, it goes to where the globalists are taking us and how they want to use global pandemics and crises, many cases that they create. Oh, yeah, the Bill and Melinda Gates have been caught doing all sorts of horrible stuff, sterilant and vaccines, you name it. His dad was the head of Planned Parenthood. It's really deep stuff. My film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, that's free on YouTube, by the way, breaks it down. So here's this report, and then we're going to go to my friend, there he is right there, Gerald Celente, up there in Kingston, New York, to get into all the important topics he's got. But here is this brief but important report that's on Infowars.com. Please retweet it. Please Facebook it. You're the reason these videos get millions of views when they do get millions of views, and this one needs millions of views. Here it is.
Right now, the global elite are preparing for something big. It looks like they are in the final stages of positioning themselves for a worldwide global pandemic, an event that they say is not a matter of if, but a matter of when it will happen. Now, recently, we've noticed that Bill and Melinda Gates, well, they've been given a lot of speeches lately, publicly warning that the world is at risk of a deadly outbreak. On February 18th at the Munich Security Conference, they said that a bioterrorist could use a genetically engineered epidemic that could kill up to 30 million people.
We also face a new threat that the next epidemic has a good chance of originating on a computer screen of a terrorist intent.
Meanwhile, he's studying all these weapons
to create a synthetic version of the smallpox
virus. And so when it happens, he'll be a hero for telling us about it.
And highly deadly strain of flu. Whether it occurs by the quirk of nature or at the hand of a terrorist, epidemiologists show through their models that a respiratory spread pathogen would kill more than 30 million people
hit pause.
In less than a year.
Hit pause. I'm going to play most of the report, but go to Celente here in a minute, and I'll skip a break so we have more time. But if you study Bill Gates like I have and all the weird stuff he's into and the bioweapons and how he gets funding in his own companies, their government programs like BioShield, you realize just how incredibly creepy all of this is and how the very elites, he and Oprah Winfrey and others, have met there in New York. It's been covered by ABC News to discuss a bioweapon to reduce world's population, and that's what the UN openly calls for. Then the guy that thinks we're stupid that writes books saying it's time to call the population and has secret meetings with Ted Turner, who says the same things, is here telling us, get ready for it to come, get ready for it to happen. When it's our own government and other governments that shot the black people up with syphilis and did all the secret nerve gas testing and radiation of homeless kids and, orphans. I mean, it's just like the devil is sitting in front of you telling you that look out, gremlins exist, and that they're coming for you when he's the king of the gremlins. Again, the full report's on Infowars.com. Let's go to some more of this. But they're really hyping it right now, like right before 9/11. Terrorism's coming. And when it comes, give all your rights up. Big buildings are going to get blown up. I saw Gary Hart and Warren Redmond on Hardball going, something big's about to happen, probably in New York. Wait. And it's just a big celebration of throwing it in our face. So here it is.
Is known for its global vaccine programs and the tragic incidents that left over 40,000 children paralyzed. Some children even died from the vaccines. The Gates Foundation's practices of bad science on innocent children has compelled the Indian government to refuse funding from Bill Gates and restrict their...
MSM does stuff like the Washington Post did it again today. They just in a random article that I covered earlier say, Alex Jones says Hillary Clinton murders children. And then again, tied to Pizzagate. When I said she murdered children funding Al-Qaeda and ISIS and all these groups in the Middle East the last 6 years since the Arab Spring, which they admit they did, and Trump's right exposing it. So see how they misrepresent? But while you're watching that video as a listener, you see mainstream news, articles, documents, as Darren McBreen proves everything he claims. But see, the news will just take clips of what he said and say that we said that when we're showing you CNBC. That's why I started putting the radio show on TV 16 years ago, because I was sick of people saying I was making stuff up. India scraps funding ties with Gates Foundation on immunization. Let's get a few more minutes, and we're going to Gerald Celente.
Relationship. Infowars has exhaustively covered the Gates family participation in global eugenics schemes such as Planned Parenthood, global vaccine failures, alliances with foundations such as the Rockefellers, who sponsor dozens of population control centers, as well as ominous quotes like this.
First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
On January 18th, in an article titled, Bill Gates is teaming up with world leaders to stop the next deadly pandemic, Business Insider reported that governments from Germany, Japan, and Norway have pooled funds along with the Gates Foundation to raise a total of $490 million, which Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, or CEPA, says will help finance the first 5 years of research and development. Now, Bill Gates appeared at January 2017's Davos World Economic Forum, flaunting his CEPA program. CBS News headline, Bill Gates on how to outsmart global epidemics. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is listed as a member of the World Health Organization, which means the World Health Organization gets their money in part from Gates. If the chips fall, it's the foundations and trust funds that want to be the ones sitting at the very top. So what's their next move? Well, we could simply turn to their own actions and their own writings for the answers. In early 2017, the Oxford Press released Governing Global Health, Who Runs the World and Why? And it was authored by none other than Chelsea Clinton and co-authored by Devi Sridhar. The book discusses the current global model of principal agency theory, or public-private partnership funding, and managing a coordinated response of a worldwide pandemic. Now, in this book, Chelsea Clinton suggests ways that the request of those financing these plans are heard loud and clear and acted upon appropriately. In the case of a world pandemic...
The full report's on Infowars.com. It's excellent. It gets even more hardcore. Bottom line, they loot the government. They create a world government. They get medical tyranny worldwide, make more corporate profits that they then have tax exempt to carry out sterilization, population control, you name it. Then they have meetings at Einstein University in New York, and it leaks out that they're planning all this. I covered it 8 years ago from mainstream news, and nobody cares. Talk about sensational. Now, joining us for the balance of the hour is Gerald Celente of trendsresearch.com. He needs no introduction here. And I've got a lot of questions I want to ask up front about the economy, where he sees it going, where he sees the attempts to cause civil wars going. Even AFP admits that's the attempt happening in France right now as people fight back against globalism. So we're going to cover some of that. But, Gerald, what else do you want to break down? What else are you looking at in new trends and developments?
Well, just what you were talking about, the vaccines and the drugs and how, the whole industry is really killing people. And the products that you have on Infowars that help people in whole health healing are really what people should be focusing on as they see the sham on the other end. There was a drug, I'm not sure of the name of it. It was in the late 1980s, up into the mid-1990s, late 90s, that they were recommending that women take as they were going into menopause. And then anybody that came out against it, like yourself or any others, was attacked by the media. And of course, the media is owned by the corporations. And I think it was progesterone or named something similar to that. And what they found out is that as they were pumping this stuff into women, it was causing cancer. But this is going on for decades. And anybody that came out against it was attacked.
Sure, it was estrogen.
Estrogen, that was it. Thank you. And that's what's going on with this whole vaccination craze. It's merely there to make Big Pharma richer. And the politicians, I worked up in Albany. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate and was in the political scene for many years. You don't need a lot of dough to buy these clowns off. They like to call them campaign contributions. Adults call them bribes and payoffs. So now you were talking also, and all things connected, what was going on in France. Let's just stay on the drug issue for a while and what they're forcing parents to do in this country by forcing the children to get vaccinated when they go into school. Well, over there in Italy right now, a new party, the Five-Star Movement, Cinque Stelle. You know what they're fighting against? Forced vaccinations of kids. While everybody else in this country is shoot them up, shoot them up.
Notice that Trump puts Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at the head of this commission, says that he has questions about vaccines, obviously an issue reportedly that hadn't really been reported on with Barron, that Barron's basically recovered from, thank God, but expanding on that. And then he has Robert De Niro, part of the commission. We asked De Niro a week and a half ago if he appreciated Trump doing that, and he basically, said no. I don't like Donald Trump. To me, that's like a big fat baby who runs around saying he wants to beat up Trump, with all this made up stuff. And I'm not trying to bash Robert De Niro. It's just that if you really look at what Trump's really doing, he really is, I'm sorry, on almost every front, really trying to deliver to the people. So I want to ask you about that. Consumer confidence soars to 15-year high. We've got mom and pop investors are behind the historic market rally. Bloomberg has to admit that. Meanwhile, Trump, trying to get our power prices down, trying to get, claw back some of the corporate income tax. Everything I see Trump doing is common sense, not making you get Obamacare, signing an executive order so the IRS can't give you a $5,000 fine. But hardly any of that ever hits the news. We just hear that he's this horrible, racist, evil person. I know you're a political atheist, don't like both parties. Well, it seems like Trump is running him over as against both parties. He has both parties against him. He has the establishment against him, the big banks against him. And then all these so-called liberals run around claiming he's the establishment. What do you think, Gerald?
Well, he's not the establishment at all. And the reason the markets are going up is because of, again, the things that you mentioned, consumer confidence, small business confidence is that it took its biggest spike since 1980. That's when Ronald Reagan got elected. That was after stagflation and Jimmy Loser Carter. The guy that gave us, by the way, the Mujahideen that then became Al-Qaeda that everybody forgets about. And also the guy, remember the Iran hostage crisis. So after that, Reagan comes in, boom, the economy zaps. That's the same emotion. Because now the business of America is business. And the business of America, since Clinton, really, he was the Iraq War, the Yugoslav War, the Bosnian War, and then he was bombing Iraq 3 times a week. And then Bush comes in with the war on terror, Afghan, Iraq War. Obama keeps them going. And now we have someone that talks about business first. And what happened yesterday? They brought in Wilbur Ross as the Commerce Secretary, who was finally okayed as the cabinet position. You like Wilbur Ross? Do you think he's a ruthless business guy? Maybe. But guess what? If he's going to work on behalf of we the people in renegotiating these lousy trade deals, and they are terrible trade deals, and I'll make that really clear just to put some facts.
Let's be clear. I mean, they admit our government has sold America out. That's their business, is doing lousy trade deals to make sure they get positions for themselves and their wives and their families on the corporate boards of the Chinese, Indian, Mexican, and 160 other countries. Our literal wealth, as you know, in the 1960s was more than half the global GDP. Now we're way below that. We have been sold out. So all Trump's got to do is take the globalist foot off our neck, and we're going to explode, aren't we?
That's exactly it. And that's why the markets are going up. And again, as you know, I'm a political atheist. When Trump got in, and it's on, in fact, it's in writing, it's in our broadcasts. 5 days afterwards, and I saw the market going up, we did a 180 on our economic.
You said I'm going from being very negative, which they admitted global depression basically this year. That was admitted. That you were saying now we're boom. And that's my next question for you, because you were right. And, you know, who thought when 50 billion had come in the first few days, it'd be, 2 trillion, 300 billion or whatever it is now. You probably have that number. You're always on top of those numbers. Gerald Celente, trends forecaster. What do you make then of Bloomberg, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, all bad-mouthing the market, saying it's over, death spiral, implosion? I have those headlines here today, doing everything they can to suppress it because they want a controlled market, even though they've made huge profits because of what Trump's done. They want full control. And so who will be successful? Because Ron Paul was almost a month ago. He's a smart economist, as you know, from the von Mises Institute. And he says, that he thinks it could be too little too late. He said what Trump's doing is wonderful. He doesn't usually get praise, but he said globally we're facing something so big he doesn't know if it can be staved off. So a lot of people are rooting for Trump to fail. A lot of people on the streets are. They hate him so much they have no idea he's actually trying to save their butt. So what do you make of that? And will Trump be successful, or is it really up to us to make sure he's successful?
Now, he'll be successful, again, going to a guy like Wilbur Ross. Now, just to put this into perspective, when I say the trade deals are lousy, because I'm not making this up, there was a thing called the chicken tax. And what happened back in the 1960s is that the United States was dumping a lot of cheap poultry into Europe, particularly Germany. In retaliation, Germany raised the import taxes of chicken coming in. LBJ, President Johnson, put on a chicken tax. If you're going to bring Volkswagens into the United States, particularly those van-sized ones, the little buses, we're going to put a 23% tax on all of them. And they did.
And he was smart. He picked a hot item that was the best-selling car that year. I remember reading about that. And he said, I'm gonna put a tax on it.
And did it stop Volkswagens from bringing them in?
No.
No. And what happened? Then they kept that tax on until Slimer, Slick Willie sellout Clinton, that miserable little boy of a nothing with a bad attitude and a lot of lies and blood on his hands, brought us NAFTA. And Al Gore, that all those liberals love, they forgot about that debate with Ross Perot, didn't they? When he warned of the great sucking sound of our jobs leaving the country.
Boy, was Ross Perot not proven absolutely dead on.
So you can have these tariffs. They're not a dirty word. The only thing that free trade has given, it's not fair trade, it's slave trade.
It is. It's a giant sucking sound of the lowest common denominator that is Chinese slaves in literal death camps. We cannot compete with that. It's a giant sucking sound to the lowest common denominator. And you make one-sided deals, you get screwed over. We've seen what happens. And so Trump is individually, as you know, renegotiating each deal. And every day, major industries are coming back. This is incredible. Then I hear Nancy Pelosi on ABC News last night saying he hasn't done one thing for jobs. She said, quote, one thing. I mean, what planet is she living on?
What are you, Nancy Pelosi or Minnie Mouse? I mean, who are you talking about? I mean, what is she? I mean, there's another one born on third base and thought she hit a home run. Her old man was in the business of a politician, and she just found her way in there. What has Nancy Pelosi ever done? Any of them? Pelosi, not so far.
By the way, she looks completely insane. You always talk about how Alex, it's not too conspiratorial. It's all out in the open. They're a bunch of losers who are, just handed everything. White shoe boys, as you said, silver spoon, all of it. I watch Pelosi and people like Waters. I'm sure you've seen them in press conferences where they say George W. Bush is still president in the same press conference and that Putin and Trump invaded Korea. She doesn't even say North or South Korea. These people are completely out of their minds.
How about look her up on YouTube? I guaranteed Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. You remember her saying that how many times? Oh, yeah. So again, going back to the whole crew and putting the whole picture together, it's not only the Democrats. I mean, it's little Paulie Ryan.
He's the worst.
What was he, Eddie Munster before this? So I'm saying there's no one there.
I agree. So I mean, I think they won't stop the rally, at least here, because we're the best position, the best, worst house in a bad neighborhood. But if you expand on that, then we'll come back and let you elaborate. Gerald Celente here. How does it go then? Because the polls show everybody hates what the Democrats are doing, at least the majority. Trump's getting more popular, even in skewed polls. It's blowing up in their face. Prosperity's coming back. What are they going to do as it dawns on them? And what is Trump doing, letting him in hundreds of newspapers every week saying, kill him? I mean, I've never seen a bunch of wimps like this going around looking for a fight.
Well, again, you mentioned De Niro. To me, he's a little low-life nothing. He doesn't live far from over here. Maybe he wants to come and punch me in the face because I think he's a lowlife. I don't like these little Italian boys or partially Italian that keep promoting lousy mafia movies. I don't like these kind of guys. So anyway, he's just a fat mouth. And when you talked about his child having autism, and then you remember he pulled that movie out of the Tribeca Film Festival.
He gave in to censorship.
Because maybe the guy that talks tough has a little pair of cojones smaller than a mothball. Because only a little boy would be a coward to pull those movies.
You're on a roll, Gerald. Let's come back and talk about that. He won't even thank Trump for trying to put him in a commission to help kids. It's just exactly, and we thought he was going to lose money in that event is when he pulled it. So I guess money's more important than his kid. I don't want to bash De Niro, but it is true. He runs around everywhere talking about attack Trump physically, so he deserves for what you just said. I think we'll be right back with Gerald Celente. Stay with us, and we'll also tell you about his latest trends alerts. You know, it's funny, though, back when he produced this song in the 1970s, if the papers were attacking you, you were destroyed. If 60 Minutes attacked you, you were destroyed. Now, when they attack you, they lie about you, they nitpick you. People love you because MSM is dead. I want to talk about that with Gerald. If you go back and read some of the books he wrote in the 1980s, I remember my dad reading his books in the 1980s and he predicted so much of what's now come to pass. Thank God they were able to manipulate the economy to not have the bubble completely implode like most experts agreed it would until Trump got in. And I hope he can stave it off. But I've studied the economy. He really is only trying to deliver funds and jobs and to real communities. He's making it about people and bringing the workers up again and saying this is about humanity and this is about Main Street and small towns and big cities and, coal miners and farmers and teachers and auto mechanics and factory workers and dock workers and artists and quality. Celente for decades is obsessed with dressing nice and respecting yourself. And just look what Trump does. And it's bringing all that back. I'm going to go back to him here in just a moment. Finish up with De Niro, but also Trump just signed a bill for empowerment through legislation to promote women in business. So just a lot of exciting things. And anybody will tell you he's gotten awards for putting more women in management positions than anybody else in the hotel and golf course businesses. And, of course, he's been given awards for hiring record numbers of black people and letting them move up from the very bottom, just like, women or anybody else, right to the top. That's what Trump wants. And I don't want to sit there and fawn. It's just he's not perfect on a few things, but he's so real and is doing what he says. Even though I disagree with some of it, it's so genuine to see the return of that. We haven't seen this in a very long time. We're going back to Gerald here in a moment. Before I go any further, Google banned us through their ad roll subsidiary. It's a separate company, yeah, right. That's the company you have to go through to get on Google. We've been running ads with them for 3 years. Gerald's got his own stories about Google, letting other people take his identity and do stuff and almost destroy his operation. But anyways, they should do whatever they want, and they're now censoring us in the ratings as well with our articles. And they promise they do this, and Facebook and Twitter are doing it as well. People say, well, that's their own platform. No, we follow their rules. We're legitimate news organizations. They're supposed to give you whatever the hottest thing is. That's what drives stuff to the top. They don't do that. But I'm digressing. For everybody that signs up for our free newsletter, you get articles, you get videos that are exclusive every day, but you also get discounts just because if things really implode, we can still contact you via email. That's the last frontier, even if they shut off Infowars. And that's the direction they're going. 50% off Deep Cleanse. It is the amazing all-in-one using a whole bunch of different known proprietary herbs that are in Deep Cleanse to purify and cleanse out the body. Deep Cleanse is one of our best sellers, but it's sold out all the time because it's so hard to get all the proprietary organic ingredients that are in it. So go to Infowars.com/newsletter, and you'll get a promo code for 50% off. That's 50% off. Now, this special ends today on dozens of items at InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com, and that's 33% off Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver, Super Male Vitality, 25% off, Brain Force, 25% off, Survival Shield X2, 25% off, Caveman, with the turmeric and all of the bone broth. It's so good for your joints, your body, your energy, your bones. Caveman, that's 33% off. The Donald J. Trump and Ronald Reagan lithographs, one of a kind. Again, when I say one of a kind, it's like 2,000 of one, 500 of the other, but these are original print, size, color, all of it, by the amazing artist who is the official sketcher and a person for the Republican Party. In fact, you'll recognize the famous Ronald Reagan drawing. Those are available right now, about to sell out. They're only $19.95. Parchment paper, come in a nice tube, transported to your door. This is how you fund the operation and get high-quality products. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. And we have the new Trump-Pence 2020 shirt. We're launching it now to trigger control freaks everywhere that try to bully America First supporters. So that new shirt, Trump-Pence 2020, keeping America great on the front, on the back. America First in 1776. Yeah, it's okay to have a country. It's okay to be sovereign. Glenn Beck comes out. I want to ask Gerald about this on CNN last week and says, it's very scary to talk about nationalism and economic nationalism. Bannon's scary. That's like saying it's scary, you know, for fish to live in the ocean or for birds to fly in the sky. I mean, to have a country. We've gotten to this upside down world where they're trying to force feed us this narrative that it's dirty to have a country. So I've been ranting. Of course, people should go and sign up for your free news alert or sign up for the publication, the Trends Journal. They can do that at trendsresearch.com. But getting back, that's quite a cornucopia that I just laid out there, Gerald. But what do you want to tackle first?
Well, first of all, I like to say about your products, and I buy them. So I recommend to everyone that to consider.
Don't you have a degree in that or something?
Yeah, I have an honorary doctorate of law from the National University of Health Sciences for the work I've done in integrative and complementary medicine.
Sure. I mean, you've written so many bestsellers. Didn't you write like one of the main bestsellers on herbs? Or
well, it was called Natural Healing back in 1986. It was a Warner book. So, yeah, I've been very much involved in this, and I use your products.
Well, thank you for the support.
And for people to stay, healthy in this poisoned planet, I would suggest you consider, building your immune
system. Well, plus people have got to support the Trends Journal and hand the magazine out because they may know a lot of this stuff. Their friends and family don't, and they've got to support platforms that are under attack because that was my next question. What are they going to do about
yeah. Well, let me finish on the economy because it ties in a lot to your first guest as well. Corsi is his name? Or?
Yes, Dr. Jerome Corsi.
Yes, and he was talking about Obamacare. What this is that people aren't putting into connection. You remember another thing called too big to fail.
Yes.
All right, in capitalism, there's no such thing as too big to fail. You rise and fall on your own merits. This is not a failure of capitalism. Then you go back to Obamacare.
Sure, it's letting people like Pelosi, who doesn't know what world she's on, and Obama, totally lazy, doing whatever he wants, ripping us off, telling us they're geniuses, as you always say.
And then what happens is we're being forced under Obamacare, first of all, to pay a penalty and taxes, but the bigger one, being forced to buy insurance from a private company. That's called what I just said, too big to fail, and Obamacare. It's the merger of state and corporate powers, which by definition is called fascism. And then when you talk about why the liberals don't complain, and again, all of these protests week after week, What are they protesting? Where were they when Obama was destroying Libya, killing 30, 40,000 people? All these little liberals had lockjaw. How about Hillary Clinton? Assad has to go. Gaddafi has to go. Oh, that's all right. We'll forget about that because we're little low-life hypocrites that have no courage. And then you keep going on. How about Obama, the Nobel Piece of Crap Prize winner? As soon as he gets it, bam, more troops into Afghanistan. No, I know the ones the liberals love the most. I'm really good at killing people. Quoted in the book, Double Down. Over 4,000 innocent people killed by Obama.
And he thinks it's tough that he orders the drone strikes, claims he's anti-war, launches more wars than Bush and Clinton combined, but it's okay because, well, he's African-American.
And then again, tying it all together, you asked why they do it, and the reason is the same reason why people are in abusive relationships. They call themselves party members, little kids calling themselves party members to a party that they're never invited to, of course. Party only steals from them, that are murderers and thieves.
I was about to say, isn't it that modern leftists, because we're not left-wing or right-wing, obviously, are like wannabe club members, like saying they're royalty. They're just delusional, and they're anti-free speech, and they don't get they're being ripped off by the very so-called leaders they defend and worship. It's make-believe.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They're in an abusive relationship. Their husband or wife kills, and it's okay with them. So then tying this all together about too big to fail and going back into what Corsi said about Obamacare, the merger of state and corporate powers, and where the economy is going. We believe there's going to be, it's in the Trends Journal just came out today, the new edition, and it's in there. Briefly, there's going to be a market correction. No question about it. You don't have a boom like this in any kind of condition, no matter who's there, without a correction.
And by the way, Faber and a lot of other people are saying that, and they're saying it's not Trump's fault.
But what we're saying is that it's not going to be a crash. There'll be a market correction, and then if Trump sticks by and does, and we can't say if he's not or is going to continue it, but if he, and again, like them or not the issue, if he goes with his tax cuts that he's promising, if he does the deregulations that he says he's going to do, and if he goes into the infrastructure program that he says, if he brings back jobs to America, then yes, the correction will be just that, a correction and then a bounce back, and that's in our latest Trends Journal. Now, bringing it back to Jeff Beck and talking about how dare we be nationalistic, go back to our top trends of 2016. And one of the top one was a self-sustaining economy. So in one time, for example, in New York area, you had over 300,000 people in the garment.
And that's exactly what Trump's saying. We're going to have trade, but we're also going to have local inner-city trade between cities, between counties, between states. We're going to have investment that creates those microeconomies that always created that amazing richness of America.
Again, 98% of our clothing comes from overseas.
Sure, let's just say it, though, Gerald. I mean, so much of what Trump says and does is exactly what you've been saying for decades. I mean, I know you were kind of neutral on Trump early on in the election, but, I mean, is it not surreal to see how much he's delivering on classic Americana populism?
Yes, it is. It's real in that sense. And those are the things I agree with him on. On the war front's a whole different issue, as you know. But it's talking about the economy. And again, not what I like or don't like, it's what is. And the what is, he's building confidence. That's why you're seeing the markets go up. And not only our markets, but emerging markets that was submerging.
Yeah, the whole world's demonizing him because the globalists control those markets. But the whole system's rising despite all their attacks. The whole world ought to be thanking Trump.
On the economy, yes. And Americans should be thanking him. But you see where they're going wrong is they just keep about immigration. Go back again to the Great Depression. Nobody was allowed to come in. It wasn't about Mexico. You couldn't come in from Italy. You couldn't come in from Germany. You couldn't come in from anywhere. We couldn't take care of our own. Once you take care of your own...
Exactly. How are we supposed to take record numbers of immigrants, which we've been doing, that are unskilled or handicapped when we're already falling apart? And speaking of falling apart, CNN has almost no ratings except when Trump's on. I thought it was smart. He said no to the White House Correspondents' Dinner that's about the president. They want to use it as a sniping attack, a trap. Also, they said, hey, some of these press conferences, we're going to let other independent media in and not always let CNN or BuzzFeed that put out fake dossiers on. And then they bitch and complain because they're so entitled. And I want you to comment on both those. And then CNN comes out in a new whopper of really hilarity. So this is kind of a heavy subject. I want us to have some entertainment here, kind of a laugh break. CNN claims they do not root for any president as they demonize Trump and fawn after Obama. Here it is.
Seems to me there's a reason that they were blocked. Again, that's really troubling.
And on the flip side, you look at those who are allowed in, Brian Stelter, namely Breitbart and the conservative paper, The Washington Times. There's a theme.
Yeah, that's the essential point, I think. We've seen this administration stacking the deck with friendlier news outlets. And when I say friendlier, what I mean are news outlets that have a point of view. In some cases are openly rooting for the president. We don't see CNN or the New York Times rooting for any president, whether a Democrat or Republican.
Okay, I want Gerald to comment on that, but that is so rich.
Let's put the facts into place. What's that guy?
We have WikiLeaks. We have all the memos where they give the questions at press conferences to CNN to ask, to the New York Times to ask. They're giving her the debate questions. They're rigging everything. They're totally rooting for Hillary and the rest of it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'll go back to that guy Stephanopoulos. Who did he work for? The Clintons. What's that guy, little Chucky Todd?
Yeah.
On Meet the Prostitutes. Oh, what did he say? Oh, that they were too easy on Clinton. Oh, that's a fact.
But, I mean, Clinton's running them. Clinton was actually running them and telling them what headlines to have. That's what I'm saying. How does he get away with saying...
But I'm saying, though, he worked for a Democrat, too.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. They've all been in bed with the parties. So they're going after Trump because he's cutting them out.
He's breaking up the old system.
And that's when they made up the whole fake news story, when the media lost. That's when they made, you go right back. It's right after Trump gets elected, boom, they start hitting with fake news. They are the fake news propagandists, the people that gave us all these wars. Well, we won't go into that.
By the way, after Jimmy Carter was crushed by Ronald Reagan, that's when they created CNN to prop up the Democratic Party. I mean, Ted Turner admitted that. The claim that CNN doesn't root for anybody, when CNN, on their own admissions, was founded for the Democratic Party, this is ridiculous.
And again, as you mentioned, the facts are there with WikiLeaks. They were giving Hillary the questions before the debates, the town hall meetings. And then again, with NBC, with that Meet the Prostitute guy.
Sure, so when we come back, I want to ask you this question. How will the mainstream media die? I think Trump kicking him out, not going to the Correspondents' Dinner is kind of the final tombstone that the facade's about to fall over with the next big wind, and then what comes out of that. But first, here's Trump a few weeks ago saying the whole Russia thing is a ruse. Now the head of the intelligence committee comes out and says there's not even phone calls. There's no evidence. We just kept hearing this from Brennan, who's a Wahhabist. None of it was true. Here's the president.
Can you just say
Russia
yes or no
is a ruse. Yeah, I know you have to get up and ask a question so important. Russia is a ruse. I have nothing to do with Russia. Haven't made a phone call to Russia in years. Don't speak to people from Russia. Not that I wouldn't. I just have nobody to speak to.
No, let's stop right there. The Young Turks came out and said he's a liar. He knows Roger Stone, who's a Russian agent, though that's never been proven. And now they've had to come out and admit none of that's even there. Not on Stone, none of them. Zero. Stone in the 80s helped roll up a Soviet spy nest in Washington, D.C. It's the biggest load of crap the world's ever seen. Jill, we're going out to break. What do you say to that?
Well, again, you know, the Democrats, don't they love war? No peace with Russia. We got to make America hate again.
When Russia is only trying to stabilize itself. It's not even...
I'm just saying.
No, I agree, but I mean, Russia's doing nothing And that's why they want to have a war with it, because they think they can push Russia around with all those countries that are around it, the Europe borders. Great points, Gerald. We'll be back on the other side. Final segment with Gerald Celente. Then I'm going to host 5 more minutes in the next hour, and then Owen Schroyer's taking over. And live coverage tonight. 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock Central. Trump speaks at 8. The Congress, this is going to be big, so I'm going to be up here with the crew. I'll be hosting for about 7:45 to 10. They're going to be doing the nightly news before me in here. So Infowars.com/show. Please take that link, send it out to everybody you know. Also, please send the link out. He's got several. Trendsresearch.com, trendsjournal.com, Gerald Celente. I want to play Brian Stelter's his name. Again, these are all political operatives, most of them Democrats. And he just exudes arrogance and dirtbaggery. And I don't just attack people for no reason. He's a bully. He bullies people. He does all this stuff. And he's just, every day when I see a clip online, it's whoppers that here at CNN, we don't root for presidents. Folks, I don't know who would win a contest, because you got Brian Williams at MSNBC and CNBC saying, he gets to tickle up his leg and gets sexually aroused by Obama, and then just all this worship and fawning. They're all fawning. Chris Matthews, yeah. Most of them sit there and worship the Democratic Party publicly, and then they just say, oh, no, we have no connection to them. It's like saying the sky isn't blue. Who comes up with whopper lies when the liberals that watch CNN know it's completely biased? I mean, what type of BS is this? Let's play that clip again and get Gerald's comment.
We don't see CNN or the New York Times rooting for any president, whether a Democrat or Republican.
Gerald, I'm sorry. That's just too much.
Well, I did on your show one time. I kept putting up the headlines of the New York Times throughout August, day after day after day. We're through over
and you went back years ago and you showed how positive they were towards Obama versus Trump.
Exactly. There was no honeymoon for Trump at all.
You're a conspiracy theorist. Everyone knows CNN and MSNBC and the Washington Post are absolutely on the butt of the Democratic Party and just absolutely keeping them honest.
And again, you have to look at who these people work for. The Stephanopoulos guy was the Clinton's top guy, for many years in the beginning of his campaign. And there he is, play Chris Cuomo on CNN. Oh, Chris Cuomo, isn't his brother the governor?
The governor. Did you hear Cuomo say that fathers that don't want their daughters to be in showers with full-grown men and don't want to see their penises are bad people?
I'm just saying, he's a member of the Democratic Party. His brother's governor.
No, absolutely.
His father was governor. So let's call it what it is. Again, Chuck Todd, he worked for the Democratic governor. A guy a senator wanted to run for president. They're all connected to the family, the murderous family, going back to Trump and the economy. The economy, we're saying, and I was negative on it until 5 days after the election. The economy has a great potential to expand if we become a self-sustaining economy. And that means you make your products here. Why not? We did it for centuries. Every successful country has. You have to.
Oh, that gets me back to Glenn Beck. Did you see the clip last week where he said just having a nation is bad and he can't believe Trump wants a nation? He actually said that.
Why would why do people listen to Jon Stewart, Colbert, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck?
No, I agree, but this new thing where they go, Trump wanting to have a nation is evil, it's scary, quote, close quote, and then stuff like CNN and the New York Times, we're not biased towards the Democrats. I mean, what? These are such whoppers. Have they gone crazy?
It's who they are. They're either sociopaths or psychopaths in the business. Again, as you mentioned, we call things the way they are. One of the key stories in the Trends Journal that just came out is play the Trump card. We said whether you like him, dislike him, good or bad, not the issue. Look at the positives. See the direction things are going and play the Trump card. This is a guy that became president of the United States by defying all of the ground rules. He played his own game, and you can too.
Absolutely. Gerald, thank you so much. Look forward to speaking to you again, my friend.
Thank you.
Always great. 4th hour with Owen Schroyer. Straight ahead, I've got some other announcements first. Stay with us. Owen Schroyer will be sitting right here in this chair in about 7 minutes, 8 minutes. He's revving to go out of the gate. A young, smart, liberty-loving whippersnapper. So get ready for that. Please turn it into a ritual of victory to spread the audio and video and podcast links you'll find at Infowars.com to everybody you know. And it's incredible. When you get involved with one of these live events we do, when you send out the link, Infowars.com/show, or tell people to go to Infowars.com and find the URL to be able to watch these special events we do. It's amazing. Also, a lot of affiliates, radio stations, TV stations, cable stations, end up picking up these special events as well. So that's why I'm going to more and more script this out more when we know there are big events coming up. Have a calendar that's months out telling you when we're going to be live, when special events are going to be taking place. That's going to be the next level to Infowars, supplying event coverage to stations out there across the country. Now, before I go any further, I wanted to mention this just because I see things like this, and it makes me really, really angry. Study finds Subway chicken only contains about 50% chicken. DNA test shows the rest is filler. That's a report out of Fox News. It's all over the place. Well, Subway's also been caught basically putting like plastic fillers, so has McDonald's, in their products. And the point is, when the public gets mad, they end up taking it out or changing it. It shows being involved, being informed is smart. It makes a better world. Now, they would just like to call you a conspiracy theorist when you think for yourself. A recent study conducted by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation has found that the sandwich-changed chicken meat contains only about 50% chicken DNA, or about half as much as fresh chicken from a supermarket. Yes, it's fillers. And there's 5 things you need to know about it. Here's the bigger issue. It's not just them. I'm in the supplement industry. We fund our operation to a great extent by high-quality supplements at InfoWarsLife.com. And I want to do some special reports where we show you, we've done it before, the test, the companies we're using, what we do, what we go through to get pure ingredients. We don't put fillers in our products. We don't. Most people want slick packaging, incredible advertising, and nothing but profit, and then they'll put just absolute crap in it, and people wonder why our supplements are so good. And they also wonder why sometimes stuff's sold out for a month, 2 months, 6 months, like the new Deep Cleanse special we've got running for 50% off. That's been sold out for months because it's got so many herbal ingredients in it that are concentrated that it's very hard to get them all at California standards. California basically has standards so high, it's almost impossible to find a lot of stuff that's perfectly clean, but we still do it. So InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. Sometimes we can no longer find an ingredient that passes California standards, and we'll just change the formulation if we have to. So that's our commitment to you, is to give you the very best we can. And nobody's perfect, but InfoWars Life products are amazing. We would never put fillers in something. In fact, that's why some of our products are discounted, like Brain Force or things like Knockout. But people say, well, why is this only a third full of pills? Because we're not going to have it 50% filler and just give you more pills. There's no fillers in those products. And it's $19.95. The leading competitor has melatonin for the same price, the same dose. We have 8 other ingredients in there, like valerian root, you name it, and it's $19.95. Now, it's only got 30 capsules in it, but, I mean, 30 capsules of another brand would be $60. I mean, these are high quality, folks. So sign up for the free newsletter at Infowars.com/newsletter so we can stay in touch with you. We're going to send out a promo code today for 50% off Deep Cleanse at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com. Sign up for the newsletter at the bottom of the shopping cart or at the bottom of Infowars. It's all over the place. Get informed now, and also pass these emails forward because they're full of videos and articles and more. Owen Schroyer's coming up for the next 55 minutes, and then we'll see you back tonight, Lord willing, 7 o'clock Central for the kickoff of pre-coverage of Trump's big speech.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show, 4th hour. And guys, we've got a lot of great specials. Alex was just talking about the specials we have on InfoWarsStore.com. In fact, he's so excited about the specials, we can't even get him out of the studio. Alex, I think you're back there. You want to talk about these products a little more?
Sure. I wasn't really clear. I just said I want to come back on. And what I really wanted to do was thank the listeners, the viewers. in the last week and a half, helping us come back at least a third of the way in the deficit that we're projecting for the year because Google banned us through ad roll, being able to advertise on the internet. So a lot of the first and second hour was about massive censorship that's intensifying openly. It's because they're desperate. It's because they're losing. I didn't really come on to plug the specials anymore. Those are ending tomorrow. I just wanted to thank all the listeners and viewers for really coming through. Because, you know, I genuinely got pissed off last week because it's hard to raise money to run this. I want to fight the globalists. I want to kick their ass. And so I don't want to say I got depressed. I got in a really nasty mood last week because I'm so sick of all this crap and, you know, treating us like garbage and, you know, trying to ban anybody that is an establishment and all the lies about Trump and just all of it. I'm so sick of it. And so it's just so good that the listeners, again, when I say they are the InfoWar, they're the resistance of every race, color, creed, we're all human beings, of every religion all over the world that want freedom, that believe in humanity. I'm not just kissing your butt or patronizing when I say you're the resistance, you're the reason we're successful. I'm ashamed of the stuff I do half the time. We have some, you know, great moments. The crew does a great job. But the point is, at least I'm trying, and I, you know, have goodwill towards people. So don't thank me when you call in, folks. I want to thank you for everything you do and putting up with us and your incredible support and kicking the globalist asses. And it just lets them know, no matter what they do, if it's God's will, and if God's with us, you know, who can stand against us, that we're going to move forward and take action. And we're having providence come back in. Doesn't mean you're some Bible thumper. It just means you love God. You want to be good. You want to say no to evil. It doesn't want you to admit all that exists, because once you don't declare providence and say you want God in your life, the evil comes into that vacuum. So big things are happening. I know you got a lot to cover with this amazing crew right here, just humbling the entire InfoWars crew, everything we're doing, next level. And so it's just so exciting. I mean, look at Paul Watson. Second biggest guy on YouTube now, and I'm not just talking about political. I mean, he's gigantic, and that's something that came out of the InfoWar. And you know, we're looking for more people that are going to want to fight the globalists, and it's just an exciting thing to know. Even people don't join InfoWars, that we have spurred so many other people to join the fight against tyrants, to take action. You know, Paul only has 517,000 followers, but he has more impressions than the millions and millions of followers at BBC, because those are fake, and those are zombies, those aren't real people. It's the same thing. You know, I used to go on a little Christian station for like an hour here and there, say in Florida or New York or wherever, do an hour-long interview and plug DVD sales of a film that I was reviewing. That's how we funded ourselves early on. And I might sell 200 DVDs an hour on some little mom-and-pop station. You know, when I just mentioned the film, I'd go on Fox News, mention my website, even mention a film, I'd sell 5 copies. Okay, supposedly the biggest thing out there. They're not. A bunch of zombies watching. It's a joke. The whole hoax is coming down, and it's great to be here with you and everybody else. So I want to thank the viewers and listeners for everything they've done and kicking the globalist ass and never giving in and never giving up. And I want to encourage everybody to email their friends, their neighbors, their family, their community, and send that link out, Infowars.com/show for tonight's coverage, 7 to 10 Central. Trump will be on at 8 o'clock with his historic speech to Congress. Because, again, if you're watching or listening, you are the resistance. Back to Owen Schroyer.
That's Alex Jones. Again, he will be back tonight, 7:45 Central. We will be doing our coverage of Trump's address to Congress. And, you know, Alex sends me on the road, and people always come up to me. They say, thank you so much. Tell Alex, thank you so much. We love you guys. What can we do for you? I've even had people, I'm not exaggerating, try to shove cash into my pocket when I'm out on the road. Of course, I reject that. And so if you want to know how you can thank Alex, if you want to know how you can pay it forward, all you need to go is go to InfoWarsStore.com, folks. Buy the products. These are great products. You're going to fund the InfoWar. You're going to help us grow this organization, this broadcast. We're going to expand. We're going to get bigger, and you're going to be a part of it. You're the reason why we get bigger when you go onto our website and fund us. So if you want to know how you can thank Alex Jones, go buy his products, folks. And let's be perfectly honest. Maybe you're watching MSNBC and you get a little triggered. Go to InfoWarsStore.com, purchase a product that'll be a nice little sock into the mainstream media's face. So we've got the mainstream media against Trump. We've got the mainline establishment politicians against Trump. And this was a story from Yahoo. Larry Summers is worried about enormous damage to the economy. Oh, now Larry Summers is worried. It's, you know, he's only been serving this country for over a decade with Clinton and Obama. But now, see, now Larry Summers is worried. Trump hasn't even been in office, but what? A month? And now Larry Summers just conveniently worried. In a wide-ranging interview in his offices at Harvard University, well, Harvard, what do you expect? And then, of course, the liberal students buy everything he says. Summers called the new administration pronouncements on trade, for instance, wildly irresponsible and potentially very dangerous. Excuse me, Larry. Remember those trade agreements that you made with the Clinton administration? How did that turn out to be? Oh, wildly irresponsible, potentially dangerous. And then you got Trump coming in who just wants to lower taxes and make fair trade. But that, according to Larry Summers, is wildly irresponsible and potentially very dangerous. Yes, so dangerous that you might pay less taxes, folks. I mean, can you imagine? Unbelievable. Summers, of course, the former president of Harvard, was Treasury Secretary during the Clinton administration. And when he was the director of the National Economic Council, he was also the chief economic advisor for President Obama. So again, he's been serving. He knows the economy. He's worked with governments, whether it be Clinton or Obama, but now Trump gets in and there's a problem. It's all Trump's fault, even though Trump has only been in for a month. Well, you see, folks, but this is how it goes. Anytime something goes wrong from here on out, it's Trump's fault. Oh, there's racial division in this country. It must be Trump's fault. It wasn't Obama who was in office for 8 years spewing the rhetoric of division. No. It's Trump. They told me on CNN. This is a quote from Summers. At this point, the details of tax legislation haven't been spelled out. Yeah, they have. You can check his tax plan. It's on DonaldJTrump.com. At this point, the details of what's going to replace Obamacare have not been spelled out. And you know what we're finding out about this Obamacare? Obviously, Jerome Corsi wrote a great story at Infowars.com. But this is such an economic hostage situation now, folks. This has been such an economic disaster that now they're to a point where they feel like they can't retreat because it's such a disaster, because they're having to pull all these funds from these different agencies. So they don't know what to do. And then on the other side, of course, they've got to keep the virtue signaling going, saying, but look at all the health care we're providing people. Oh, yes. It goes on. There's been a lot of attitude, but not yet a clear indication of what the new trade policies are going to be. Again, I'm just curious where is Larry Summers? Where is Larry Summers? Has he been paying attention at all? What the new trade policies are going to be? I think Donald Trump has said America first 100 times, 200 times, 300 times, Larry Summers. But you know what? He's not sure what those new policies are going to be. He, for some reason, cannot hear it when Trump says America first. We haven't yet seen a budget proposal from the new administration. So here's Summers, folks, ripping on Trump and his administration. This guy served under the Obama administration, which doubled the national debt. I'm going to sit here and get lectured by Larry Summers about Trump being dangerous for the economy. He served under Obama that doubled the national debt. See, this is why Alex gets so frustrated, folks. This is such bullcrap. I mean, this is literally, this guy is the pot calling the kettle black here. And he does it right in front of your face, and he thinks you're so stupid. I mean, look at this. Donald Trump has already cut the debt $20 billion down. Now, of course, this is like pennies into a wishing well here. It's like nothing. The debt is so big. But again, Summers tells you that Trump is the problem. He served under Obama that doubled the national debt. You want to talk about wildly irresponsible and potentially very dangerous? How about that, Larry Summers? But see, you didn't have a problem with it then, right? No. He goes on, I think the Obamacare changes run the risk of both raising healthcare costs and leaving millions of people without health insurance. Wow. Exactly what Obamacare did. So, I mean, whatever. Okay, so let's say that you repeal Obamacare and then healthcare costs go up and millions of people don't have health insurance. Well, then that'd be the exact same result you got from implementing Obamacare, wouldn't it? So again, why do you have a problem with it now? And then you've got these people like John Boner coming out here trying to tell you, oh, well, they can't do anything about it. You know, if I was Trump, I would just, this is what I always say. Did we not have health care before the Affordable Care Act? Was there no health insurance before Obamacare? No, there was. And in fact, I am one of the people that actually, because of Obamacare, originally didn't have health insurance because I wasn't going to pay into that. I believed it was unconstitutional and against my religion. How do you like that? But He says that if you get rid of Obamacare, millions will leave the health insurance industry. Well, guess what? That already happened with Obamacare. And those raising healthcare costs that you're so concerned about, Summers, those came with Obamacare, buddy. But again, if Trump wants to do something about healthcare, it's terrible. If Trump does anything with the economy, it's wildly irresponsible and potentially very dangerous. But when Summers comes in with an unconstitutional Affordable Care Act under the Obama administration, it's okay. When Summers comes in with the Obama administration and doubles the national debt, that's not wildly irresponsible or dangerous. Sure. Go to InfoWarsStore.com, folks. Support this broadcast. We'll be right back with more. Owen Schroyer filling in on The Alex Jones Show. So Obamacare is an absolute failing disaster. Jerome Corsi has written about the most recent findings with the Obamacare disaster on InfoWarsStore.com. There's a deficit. They can't find the money, so they're basically just going to steal it from anybody and everyone who they can, and they think they can get away with all of it. And, I'm thinking about this. All of these welfare programs that we have, all these handouts, now it goes into healthcare. I mean, eventually, folks, they're going to make it, the government is basically a charity organization now. So they're going to make charity, they're going to basically price charity out. You're going to have so many charitable donations through the taxes with the government. In fact, you already do, really, if you really wanted to get down to it. But I mean, they're just going to go ahead and tax charity out of existence. I think that that's what they want. Of course, you look at who gives to charities, it's usually conservatives, but that's neither here nor there. Here's one man who claimed he was a conservative while he was in office, and it turns out now that George Bush is proudly flying the globalist flag now. And he's coming out against Trump. In a story from Politico, George W. Bush, I don't like the racism and name-calling under Trump. Wow, who would have thought that George Bush was a special little snowflake after all? What is it David Knight calls him, Shrub? I kind of like that. Shrub, George Shrub, doesn't like the racism and name-calling under Trump. I got to be honest, a lot of the older conservatives that I know, I'm 27 years old, and the people that I used to work with that were in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that were conservatives, for the most part, liked George Bush. For the people that were under 40 and conservative, they might not necessarily have liked George Bush, but they didn't look at him like he was a bad guy. They thought that overall he was probably a good president. It's now reached a point where the conservatives that I would speak to that were big fans of George Bush, they thought that he was a great president. They can't stand him now, folks. He's completely tarnished his own name, his own reputation by flying the flag of the globalists. Look, George, all Donald Trump is doing is putting a message of America first. And the fact that you can't get behind that, I think shows your true colors. Former President George W. Shrub says he dislikes the racism, name-calling, and people feeling alienated under Donald Trump's presidency. Well, the only people that would feel alienated are the ones that would be here breaking the law, to which you would naturally feel a little bit of discomfort if you were a lawbreaker. But this is all twisted, spun, and then put on a pedestal by the mainstream media. George Bush says that the current political climate in Washington is pretty ugly. Again, though, who are you blaming this on? See, when Obama was president and all of this stuff was going wrong, what did the Obama supporters say? Well, that was Bush's mess. That was Bush's fault. He's got to clean up after Bush. Bush, 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 Bush. Shrub, 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 shrub. But now Trump is president and nothing is Obama's fault. See, it's all Trump's fault. And the weird dynamic here actually is, folks, if you really want to get down to the psychological aspect of this, Trump has been the president for a year. Okay? Donald Trump was my president a year ago. In fact, whether you believed he was going to win or not, no matter what you thought the upcoming election results were going to be, Donald Trump was already the president, folks. He was in every living room, every day, on every news station, 24/7. He was the guy. He's been the president for over a year. So that's why they can come out and say, it's Trump, it's Trump, it's Trump. Even though he's only been in office for a month, it's felt like he's been in office for a year because he's been that dominant. So that explains that, at least in my view. People asked Bush whether Trump's proposed travel ban targeting several predominantly Muslim nations poses a threat to the Bush Center's work To which the former president responded, now that you mention it, it might bother me, but we'll figure out how to bring them over. Really? I quote, now that you mention it, it might bother me, but we'll figure out how to bring them over. Can you imagine if George W. Shrub made that comment on September 12th, 2001? I'm just curious how you think that would go over. We'll bring them over no matter what, George Bush says after September 11th. It gets even worse from the Bush family, folks. And again, their true colors are showing. It turns out that these people are raging anti-Americans, maybe even eugenicists. Bush daughter set to headline Planned Parenthood fundraiser. Speaking of eugenicists, it's not like the Bush family has any Nazi ties. Barbara Bush will give the keynote address for the abortion giant at an annual luncheon in Fort Worth. Proceeds will go to providing funds for abortions and other services. Barbara is cozy with the Planned Parenthood CEO, Cecile Richards. She referred to a Planned Parenthood as an exceptional organization. Tickets to the luncheon are $150 a pop, $20,000 for a group of 10. So how do you like that? The Bush family promoting abortion. Thanks, George Bush. Thanks, Barbara Bush, for showing your true colors, you anti-American scum. Alex Jones Show. We'll be right back on the other side. Owen Schroyer here, the Alex Jones Show, 4th hour. And, you know, we just got done talking about the Bush family, to which I can't stand. In fact, I love it when I'm out and I'm at the Trump protests and I'll be trying to talk to people and they'll figure out I'm a Trump supporter and they'll be like, oh, but George Bush did that. George Bush did this and he was here and that. And then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, great. I don't like George Bush. And they freak out. They don't know what to do because it's like, wait a second, I actually have something in common with a Trump supporter? Oh, my God. I can't have something in common with a racist. This is impossible. I'm out here protesting Trump. Oh, I'm protesting wars. Donald Trump was against the Iraqi war, but I haven't read a book in 10 years. So, wait, you don't like Bush? Oh, my God. Oh, wait. Oh, I need to go home and I need to find a new sign. I need to write a new sign because this guy doesn't like Bush. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, you know, I forgot to even mention these. I didn't even get to these videos we're going to play. George Bush coming out again. They're just flying the flag of globalism now, folks, publicly in your face. This is the entire establishment power structure trying to leverage anything that they have left against Trump. Even though the Bushes now are pretty much completely repudiated by the American electorate, they're still going to try to use whatever leverage they can out of the Bush family to try to use that against Trump. But Bush is coming out talking about Trump and Russia needing the Trump-Russia ties needing to be exposed. You know what, Matt? Do you have that video ready? Let's just go ahead and play that video.
You mentioned Vladimir Putin. So many questions about the contacts between Trump associates during the campaign and the Russian government. As a former president, would you like to see a special prosecutor appointed to look into this once and for all and give the American people answers?
Well, first of all, I think we all need answers. Whether or not the special prosecutor is the right way to go tonight, you're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah, we want
I have great faith in Richard Burr, for example. He's the head of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Really good guy and an independent thinker. And, you know, if he were to recommend a special prosecutor, then it'd have a lot more credibility with me. But I'm really, I've never been a lawyer. I'm not sure the right avenue to take. I am sure, though, that question needs to be answered.
Did you just hear that, folks?
Only 8 or 9 months after.
Hold on a second. George Bush just said, hey, look, I'd be happy to make this appointment. I mean, this is a big deal, but I'd be happy to make this appointment. It'd have a lot more credibility if it was me than anyone else. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm saying that I'm the most credible person on earth. So, put me in charge of that probe and I'll figure out whatever ties Trump has to Russia. You better believe it. I'm sure you will, Georgie Shrub. Of course, the funny thing is, wait, go ahead. Okay, yeah, so we've got another, but here's the deal. I'm not even going to throw that clip because it doesn't matter. Our audience already knows this. But yesterday, folks, multiple members of our government went onto the Hill and said, there's no evidence. We have no ties. We can't prove anything. We have no hard evidence to offer you. Sorry. But George Bush, but that's because George Bush isn't involved. Oh, now I get it. See, they can't find any ties. It's not because there's none that exist. Obviously, they exist. The media told me all day long. I mean, I got Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters. I mean, I can trust those women. I mean, they are clearly stable. I mean, clearly Maxine Waters is stable, folks. Clearly Nancy Pelosi is not mentally deranged. These people are obviously with it all the time. But now I understand. See, the reason why we couldn't find the ties is because George Bush wasn't involved. So there it is. So George Bush, you know what, maybe we'll get him involved and we'll finally be able to find those ties. No, but really, this is such a joke. It's so pathetic. It's been such, I mean, again, when did these things start coming out? Okay, Trump and Russia. I mean, it's been pretty much every round heavyweight fight with the media trying to expose Trump and Russia for 4 months now. You had Obama say, I'm going to get a detailed investigation and I want the findings on my desk. I want them on my desk. Well, whatever happened to those findings? Did they ever reach your desk? Never heard about them. All these politicians, all this media apparently looking into these ties, all you found out was a fake pee-pee gate. But again, it's because George Bush isn't involved, folks. So we got it all figured out. George Shrub is going to get involved. But you know what? No, this is actually amazing. I really hope that George Bush and the Bush family continue to come out against Trump and expose themselves for who they really are. Because this is only going to bring America together. All the people out there who couldn't stand George Bush, he was part of the reason why Obama got in. So you got all these people out there, they hate George Bush. He's a warmonger. They get it. At least they think they get it. We can be on the same side with that issue. So if George Bush wants to keep coming out against Trump, guess what, George? You are going to unite America greater than you did on 9/11. Think about that. Remember that, folks, on 9/11, we all united behind the newfound patriotism that we were not going to let radical Islamic terror attack our way of life. Now, I don't think I need to sit here and talk about what Infowars thinks about 9/11 and the events that took place there and the fake news that is the 9/11 Commission. But with Bush coming out against Trump, that's going to force all of the Trump constituents, all of the Trump supporters, many of which may have liked Bush, to come out and now repudiate George Bush, which will then have the people on the left who have always hated George Bush seeing the Trump supporters repudiating George Bush and then bringing them together on that playing field. Now, what might manifest as far as an election in 2020 from that, I'm not sure, but I think it's only a good thing. We've got the Trump-Pence 2020 t-shirts at InfoWarsStore.com. Trump-Pence 2020 t-shirts. Go to InfoWarsStore.com. But I really think that the Bushes coming out as pro-abortionists, as anti-Trumpers, fake news Russia, it's only going to intensify the Trump movement towards 2020. There it is. Trump-Pence 2020, keeping America great. And you know, I've got these stories here, and Alex talked about briefly the Subway chicken or the Subway soy chicken, whatever it is. I'm going to start with this story because there's a lot of confusion here. This is a story from Yahoo, and I think you know exactly what the goal intended here is, and this is why Yahoo decided to run a story like this with this headline. This blogger had the best response to body shaming comments of her Instagram. So what you've got here, folks, is you've got this girl. You can see her here if you're a TV viewer. And I guess she's one of these people that, you know, they think they're an Instagram model or whatever. They put a filter on a picture of themselves on a selfie, and all of a sudden they're a model. So that's fine. But anyway, so she thinks, you know, she's an Instagram model. And I'll get into the meat of this story. But basically, she used to be thin, used to be fit, and then she put on a bunch of weight. The television viewers can see this video, and she's showing it off. She's basically bragging about how she put on, like, I guess, I don't know how much weight she put on. I don't know if it's exactly in this story. But she's proud. She's proud about how she put all this weight on. Let's just get into the story. So, thanks in part to outspoken body advocates, we've made great strides towards greater body positivity and body acceptance in general. Yeah, I'm just supposed to accept a bunch of fat turds walking around. I'm just supposed to accept that. Now, actually, the truth of the matter is there's been kind of a reversal of this fortune in the last few years with health kind of trending, being healthier, being skinnier kind of trending again. So I think people are actually into losing weight now. You look at the city of Houston, which used to be the fattest. They've actually lost some weight down there. So I give Houston credit. But it's funny because it's like the movie WALL-E. Is that supposed to be good? I mean, is it just, should I just be accepting when nobody can even walk anymore? They need a robot just to get up under their own power? No, I'm supposed to be accepting of that. That's body positivity. That's body acceptance. Hey, you're so unhealthy and overweight, you can't even walk around the grocery store on your own. You've got type 1 diabetes and you're probably going to die by the time you're 50. I accept you. That is a positive body. And again, this comes from the body positive blogger Megan Jane Crabb that Yahoo decided to write about. Crabb posted a side-by-side photo comparison of herself, embracing her weight gain and sharing how proud of it she was because it represented, and I've heard this, self-love that she had gained along the way. When I'm out talking to people that support abortion, they say they killed their babies and they did it in the name of self-love. Self-love. This is going to be like the Russian hacking thing. Whenever they do something that they know is morally or physically deteriorating to themselves, they're just going to call it self-love. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to, folks, it's just, you know where this heads. It's like suicide yourself for self-love, basically. Here are some of the captions. Wait, so you decided to ruin your body? She responds, no, I just stopped torturing myself every day for not fitting an image I was never supposed to be. Oh, I guess you were supposed to be fat then. I guess that's the image you imagined yourself supposed to be. But you look so much healthier to me before you were fat. That's funny, you look so much more intelligent to me before you equated health with weight and forgot that mental health is health too. See, I love this. Now look, this woman is clearly uninformed on the actual subject matter of health. Okay? You don't need to be a doctor to know that in general, not being overweight is more healthy. That doesn't mean that overweight people can't be healthy. There's a give and take. But if you don't think for 1 second that even being physically healthier doesn't attribute to mental health, you haven't done the research, folks. Trust me on that one. Trust me on that one. There's all kinds of studies that can equate to this. People who are in better shape have better self-confidence and then succeed more often. Okay, but for her, see, but this is the sad thing now. Now, she just decides that she wants to be fat and call it self-love and a social justice warrior routine. And what happens? The liberal media like Yahoo praises her for it. So is that what you want? You want your daughter to see some girl put on a bunch of weight and tell her that it was body positivity and a good thing for her health? Someone said, you could have stayed the same and loved your body. You didn't need to get fat. She said, I could have stayed the same and spiraled back into the eating disorder that almost killed me when I was 15. I could have kept starving myself and obsessively working out for hours every day. But it would not have led me to self-love. Aw. Well, yeah, I would actually agree. If you have an eating disorder and you're killing yourself to try to maintain an image that's impossible, yes, that is probably not good for self-love. You know what? I am a guy who likes to exercise. I usually work out about 6-7 days a week. But you know what? I'm never going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? It's just never going to happen. And I'm not going to get depressed over it. I'm not going to get fat because I can't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was an Olympian or whatever bodybuilding champion. But here's the thing. So again, if you just go back to this image real quick, this is the thing about this, folks. You know, I'm not saying that you have to sit here and starve yourself to be skinny. No. But if you don't think for 1 second that physical health is just as important as mental health, or you don't understand how both of them coalesce together as an overall overarching body of health, then you're just missing the picture altogether. So look, here, for this blogger, why don't you go ahead, you can eat fast food the rest of your life, quit exercising in the name of self-love, and you're going to be 300 pounds by the time you're 40 or 45 years old. See how much self-love you have for yourself then. See, you'll be lucky if you can get anyone else to love you. But maybe, you know what, you're going to have so much self-love on yourself that you put it back into your body, you're not going to have enough love to give anyone else probably. You're so obsessed with yourself, apparently. But what does this all come down to, folks? So you've got both sides of the issue. You've got the people that freak out, that'll starve themselves just to have their rib cage showing. But as Alex talked about, you got the Subway chicken that's only 50% chicken, okay? Now, Subway said this in their statement. We are concerned by the alleged findings you cite with respect to the proportion of soy content in our chicken strips and oven-roasted chicken breast. They only contain 1% or less of soy protein. Okay. So, what is the other 50%, folks? Subway says it's not soy. DNA tests say it's not chicken. You know what it is? It's self-love. 50% chicken, 1% soy, 49% self-love. So Subway will serve you a yoga mat plastic in the bread, and they'll serve you a little self-love mixed with soy and claim that it's chicken. And Michelle Obama will endorse the whole thing in the name of liberalism and making yourself healthier. You know, I wonder how Michelle Obama would feel about the body positivity thing when she practically tries to starve students with her lunch program. But this is a health problem, folks. It really is. Millennial bowel cancer crisis. Young people are 4 times more likely to develop the disease than previous generations due to their terrible diets. You see what's going on here? You don't have to look like a supermodel. You need to take care of yourself. That's what it's all about. And if you take care of yourself, you don't need to bust your ass working out for hours every day. You don't need to bust your ass to make sure that everything you eat, you know, is grass-fed or organically grown. No, just be health conscious. Read the ingredients. Don't go to eat fast food every day. Unprecedented numbers of young people are being diagnosed with bowel cancer due to poor diets and lack of exercise. No, it's self-love. It's bowel cancer because of self-love. But we already seen the studies. When you eat fast food, what is it like for 10 straight days, if you eat fast food, you kill all the good living organisms in your digestive system. So what happens then? Your body can no longer digest properly. Then what happens? You get bowel cancer. So this is a nasty cyclical thing here that needs to be stopped. And self-love, body positivity isn't the answer. Ignoring the health issues that come with unhealthy diets and lack of exercise is not self-love, is not the answer. The study warns the data should be a warning sign that this generation faces an epidemic of digestive diseases and suggests we should beginning screening people in their 20s. Now, you do hear something like this. You say, oh, this is just the healthcare industry trying to make more money off of us. But we know that these studies are real because we've already seen the effects in the gut when you eat nothing but fast food. Educational campaigns are needed to alert. This is an actual statement. I forget who made this statement, but educational campaigns are needed to alert clinicians and the general public about this increase to help reduce delays in diagnosis, which are so prevalent in young people, but also to encourage healthier eating and more active lifestyles to try to reverse this trend. No, I just say we have self-love. Look, we live in a modern society, folks, okay? Why do you think breast cancer rates are up? Why do you think, infant mortality rate? I mean, it's all changing. All autism, all of this is changing. What else is changing? We're getting more vaccines. Our diets are changing. Our sleep patterns are changing. The light that we see every day is changing. Most people don't get actual natural sunlight anymore. They just get the fake light. This is all happening at the same time, and it all is negatively impacting our health. And just ignoring it and saying, oh, I love my body anyway. As long as I have self-love, I'll be fine. No, you're probably going to get diabetes and die of bowel cancer. Infowarsstore.com. That's how we stay healthy. Check out the products. We'll be back. Final segment, Alex Jones Show. You know, I just figured it out, folks. I just figured it out, and this is why it bothers me. You know, this girl on Instagram gains a bunch of weight, puts the self, normally in every other situation, it's like, hey, I used to be out of shape and unhealthy. Now look at me. I'm in shape. I'm healthier. I'm smiling more. My body image is better. Everything, mental health, everything is better. But no, this girl takes to Instagram and does the exact opposite. But I realize what it is now, and this is why it's so frustrating, folks. Being in shape, eating healthy is not easy. It's not. It takes a little bit of effort. It does. All this girl does, and this is what infuriates me so much about people. This is a lazy person. That's what this is to me. This is, you know what? It's hard to stay in shape. It's hard to eat healthy. I don't have time for that. I just don't want to work hard. It's too hard for me. I want to take the easy way out. So that's the real psychological process that goes down here. And you can equate this to many other situations and circumstances in life. But this is the psychological process. It's too hard. It's too hard. But they don't want to publicly admit that that's what's going on. She doesn't want to publicly go onto Instagram and say, it's too hard to stay in shape, so I'm just going to be fat. No, instead she says, because she doesn't want to admit that she's just lazy and it's too hard to stay in shape. So instead she just says, it's about self-love. It's about body positivity. No, it's about you're a fraud and you're lazy, okay? So don't sit here and put out some false narrative like you're happier with yourself because you gained a bunch of weight. This is all fake. This is a total facade. You know that she's pissed she gained weight. She knows that she looks better when she's skinny. Everybody knows she looks better when she's skinny, but she doesn't want to look skinny because it's too hard, and she just says self-love, that's why I'm fat. This is the easy way out. This is the social justice warrior, modern day liberal easy way out. Just give up and then say it's a social justice warrior movement. Now, again, folks, if you want to lose weight, we have products at InfoWarsStore.com that can help you do that. For me personally, I know that it's not meant as a weight loss formula. And again, you know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not making any official statements. But for me, nascent iodine takes care of everything. It gives me more energy in the morning. It makes me more motivated. It makes my head clearer when I wake up. I can think clearer. This is the best product we have, folks. How much is it right now? Nascent iodine? $22. For $70, you can have nascent iodine for your family for a year. I guarantee you, after 1 year of your family doing a drop or two of nascent iodine every morning, it's just going to be a world of difference. The house will be healthier. The conversations will be more enlightening. Everybody will be working harder. It's just amazing. And, you know, here's another story. I was talking about our modern society, and there's all these things that come with it that are detrimental to our health. And sure, we use technology to kind of counteract some of these things that come with us. And we have some of these technologies at InfoWarsStore.com. But judge orders California to release papers discussing risk of cell phone use. Now, we've already talked about this. We've covered this ad nauseum. But there's another angle to this story. California could have to hand over some documents it tried to keep under wraps. And there's the key, folks, right here. Why is the state of California trying to maintain secrecy about studies that could show significant risk of cell phone use? On Friday, a Superior Court judge ordered the state to release papers discussing the risk of cell phone use. Again, you have to ask yourself, why wouldn't they immediately release this stuff? Who funded this stuff? My guess it was the taxpayer. But the state refused to hand them over when requested by a director. And now Joel Moskowitz, a PhD, is threatening to sue. He actually has sued the state of California. We need to see these documents, folks. We already know what's happening with the cell phone use. There's radiation everywhere. We have an item at InfoWarsStore.com, the pocket shield, the pocket protector from all the radiation coming off your cell phone. So I just had to bring that to your attention. But why is California hiding these results? What do they want you not to see? We're going to have more tonight. InfoWars Nightly News, 7 p.m. Central. The address by Donald Trump is going to be coverage live by Alex Jones, 7 p.m. Central. Infowars.com/show. Thanks, everybody who tuned in. InfoWarsStore.com. Support this broadcast.